Good afternoon, good evening, and good day wherever you are. Welcome back to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justin as always. And here today on Sunday, we are going to be we're going to be seeing a lot of great Heroes of Storm action. One team will be taking fourth place, but we'll get into all that in a little bit. What we need to get into immediately is how my co-commentators, casters, analysts, how they've been in our little kind of 24 hours or so off. So, Justin, my friend, how you feeling? How you doing? You ready for a great day of games?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I got carried back to Masters in HoTS yesterday, so that felt
You're
pretty
welcome.
good. After, yes, thank you, Baha, for the carry. I decayed quite a bit down to low diamond, just because, yeah, decay does a thing, so
Yeah.
I made it back to Masters, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm excited to see what the CCL teams have been brewing.
And hopefully no one was banning out your Murden all night last night after you said that you were very much enjoying that dwarf launch build or so. So really fun stuff, and glad to hear you back in Masters. Now, Grubby, how have you been? How have you been enjoying your little time off before we get back into the games today?
Yeah, I've been playing all day, actually. Playing HoTS all day. Yeah, I just get a feeling to play Hogger when I see him in CCL. I see that Dynamite build, I'm like, I gotta try it. And been having success with him. I've been losing a lot, and now we're back in the saddle as a Hogger main. So looking forward to more Hoggers today, too.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And before we start getting into the games, let's get into a little bit of our prize pool, because we do have an amazing prize pool, and 60% of said prize pool, or excuse me, of the donations will be going to the players. First place taking that coveted 35%. And as always, to be transparent, we do have 40% coming back to Wisdom to create amazing graphics and run the show, have this league, and also, well, have some fun here in Heroes the Storm. You can use !! prize pool in chat to be able to donate towards said prize pool, and we are so close to $13,000. We're at $12,916.69 because of your generosity. And now, Grubby, we do have an incentive towards the end of our CCL season, and could you break down what could happen at 13K and what will happen at 15K?
Gonna be channeling my inner Lucio here a little bit, getting musical up in here. Because if we get 15,000 in donations before the end of the season, I'm gonna be performing my song. It's about Illidan. It's on the tune of You're Welcome from Moana, and I wrote the lyrics myself. It's a fun little thing. So I hope we can get there. Today, 13,000 doesn't seem like a bridge too far at all, and I'll be sharing another fact about the song, maybe unveiling the opening lyrics, the opening line of the song. If we can get 14,000 this weekend, you'll get a second fact as well.
Every milestone, every $1,000 milestone gives us a little bit more information. I believe there is a command in chat, ! Grubby song, will give you a little bit more details about all of this. But exciting stuff. Really, really happy to be able to, incentivize the community for this amazing prize pool, as well as just, well, our awesome league. But we've had a lot of things happen over the past week or so, so we want to kind of catch you up at home as to what's happened since last weekend. So, Justin, can you break down our Gauntlet ladder bracket and kind of explain what happened last weekend for, well, the Rise of Storm Esports?
So we saw Chili Mountain go up against Granite Gaming and take them down 3-0, and then Storm Esports took Chili Mountain down 3-0, looking quite dominant. They then took down Oxygen in a 3-1, again looking very dominant, again a 3-0 against Diamond Hands. So Storm Esports just sweeping through the gauntlet, only dropping one game, looking very strong, but they did lose, as we'll soon see, to 30K. So they're going to be playing from the lower bracket, going up against Simplicity later today.
Yeah, and that was actually my mistake yesterday. I misspoke. We are going to be seeing 30K versus HeroesHearth Esports first, and then it's going to be Storm Esports versus Simplicity as our second best of 5 of the day. And that Storm Esports versus Simplicity matchup, Grubby, that is the coveted match of the day. And could you maybe break down why that match matters a little bit more than this 30K versus HeroesHearth Esports matchup?
Yeah, because it's elimination. Any double elimination bracket, which this is, means that if you get eliminated twice, you're well and truly out. The loser of Storm versus Simplicity actually will be 4th place, and these are our last 4 teams. So, well, they have done a better ranking than 5 to 8 then, but they still end up losing in the playoffs. Nobody wants that. So At least for 30k Wildheart, if they lose, they still have another chance to make it back in there into the grand finals. But it's do or die for Storm and Simplicity.
We'll find out in that second best of 5 of the day who's going to be going home and who's going to be going on in that lower bracket. But of course, we are going to be getting into our first best of 5 of the day. And before we start breaking down these rosters, let's break down our amazing sponsor, Next Level Gaming. You can use !NXT in chat to find out more about this Miami-based LAN center where you can go and play Heroes of the Storm among many other games. They've just upgraded their hardware to HP Omens with Intel i7 processors and RTX 3090s. That is a beast of a machine, and with a strong machine like that, you got to have some amazing monitors. You've got 2 options if you're going to be playing some games over at Next Level Gaming. They've got a 24-inch monitor at 240 hertz, and they've got a 32-inch monitor at 144 hertz. Realistically, with a 32-inch monitor, Grubby, I think you could basically see from core to core on Heroes of the Storm. So really cool stuff over at Next Level Gaming. And as I said, !NXT in chat to find out more about them. We thank them for joining us for HeroesCCL Season 3. And now we can start getting into our rosters for these 2 teams, because I, Grubby, am super excited to start talking about these 2 teams. We are going to be seeing 30k going up against Wildheart, and who will we see on that 30k side?
Bad Benny, Dino, Hazuops, Liam, and Yazoo. Well, we had with some great games on them yesterday. We saw some. We saw Bad Benny on a wide variety of different heroes. He looked stellar on Diablo, on Towers of Doom. His whole team ready constantly to follow up. And in that final game, Hazuops, he really showed how to play Hanzo with great arrows. Never hitting all of them, of course, that's almost impossible, but hitting some really good one and amazing scatter arrow damage. But he mentioned, humbly so, that it's his team that channeled the opponents to places where those things are more likely to hit. So there's a lot of spatial awareness as well when playing with a Hanzo on your team.
Yeah, the Hazuops, it was just very humble in his breakdown, but he also, I mean, throughout Season 3 of CCL, he has landed some monster arrows for 30k. But that's enough about 30k here. We got to talk about Wildheart Esports, Justin, and I'm sure you know a thing or two about this roster.
Yeah, they've really been scaling as the season progresses. They did take down Simplicity yesterday. We've got Mason Blaze, the unsung hero, the range DPS for the team. Slug Hunter is the offlane for the team. Tremor, the Stitches god, the main tank. Weary, we have playing support. And Zergling will be transitioning to that flex position, where he's been doing quite well on things like the Junkrat in his new role as the flex.
He's even had some phenomenal games on Zagara, as we saw yesterday, and I have just been told by production, I believe, we might have just hit a new milestone, and we actually have. So, Grubby, are you prepared to sing? Are you warmed up for this? Can we immediately just make you sing right here, right now?
Now, I'm going to be saving my singing for the actual song. 15,000 for the unlock, but I will tell you one line from the song. I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to save these pipes for that moment. Practicing tirelessly every day in the hope that we will unlock that song with the 15k donation goal. But for now, I'm going to say, as Illidan, what can I say except you're carried? That is the theme of the song, and I think it's very fitting for the average Illidan that we see in Storm League.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone at home for pushing that prize pool further and further. We'll unlock another hint at 14,000, and we'll unlock the complete song to be sung here on HeroesCCL at 15k. Thank you all once again for donating to the prize pool. If you'd like to check it out or push that prize pool further, !prize pool in chat. And one other thing that I want to just break down really quickly before we get into our map is we do have the award show coming up for HeroesCCL Season 3. You can use !awards in chat to find out more about that and get your nominations in, or excuse me, vote for the nominated players in their respective categories. But as I said, we are ready to get into our map, so let's go ahead and find out where we're going to be going to for map number 1 in our first best of 5 of the day in the upper bracket of our double elimination bracket. The members of 30k are going to be the higher seeded team, so they have the choice of first pick or map pick. 30k opting for first pick priority will ban out Towers of Doom. Members of Wildheart Esports will get rid of Curse Hollow, and Wildheart will be the ones to choose to take us to Tomb of the Spider Queen for map number 1. Now, some stats for all of you at home. Tomb the Spider Queen for 30k, they've played this map 4 times. They have a record of 3-1. On the side of Wildheart, they have played this map 5 times with a record of 4-1. Strong records for both sides here, Justin, as we are just about to jump into the draft. And I got to get your thoughts here. Do we see that Stitches Junkrat, or has 30k done their homework and they'll just shut that down?
I'd be pretty surprised if 30k does allow the Stitches Junkrat to go through after seeing how well Wildheart managed to play it yesterday. Their synergy and coordination between the Junkrat traps and the Stitches hooks was just perfect. So I'm not expecting those to make it through the draft, but Wildheart will be eager and happy to take them, I'm sure, if 30k does not ban them.
Alrighty, well, we're speeding through the draft immediately, and it's going to be that Junkrat ban, so no Junkrats to be had in this matchup, or at least this map right here, but Grubby, I gotta get your thoughts as well, maybe even just expectations for these teams going into Tomb.
I'm thinking about that Stitches. Rhaegar with a 65% win rate in Storm League over the next highest, Kerrigan 55% and Johanna 55%. Rhaegar has a 93% popularity in Storm League. And that means that he gets banned or picked almost every time. 74% ban rate in all of Storm League games. And this bleeds over into the CCL as well. They agree his numbers, his kit is crazy right now. But how could we forget about Tremor's Stitches that he put on great display yesterday and used to great effect? Part of the reason why we see a Junkrat and a Medivh ban, not only are these good by themselves, but they also greatly enable any Stitches picks. They don't want to go so far as to ban it, just 30k, but they do want to ban his number 1 and number 2 best enablers in Junkrat and Medivh.
There was a lot of bans onto Tracer actually yesterday against 30k, and this is surprising how quickly they're grabbing it, Justin. Really excited to see Dino's Tracer come out.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart move, as we did see Wildheart also banning it in the second rotation quite a bit yesterday, so it's a smart move to pick it here on the 2-3. And something that Wildheart has done is, okay, so since they take the Anduin and the Blaze, they basically force 30k to either ban the Stitches or the Vala. They're kind of signaling that they want the Vala. It's a little interesting to me that 30k did go ahead and ban that Stitches, because Tracer does really well into Stitches. Stitches is one of the tanks that really has no lockdown for her. He has no point-and-click hard CC. If you hit a hook on her, she can likely just recall it anyways. So it's a little surprising to me to see them ban that away, but that's just how much respect Tremor has on the Stitches.
Oh, we're going to see the Garrosh for the first time in a few weeks, I feel, for Tremor. It's been banned out a couple times as well yesterday, and we're getting into the latter half of the draft. So, of course, Grubby, any thoughts on what's unfolding and what we're going to see in a couple seconds here?
Number 1 and number 2 counter into Diablo coming out in Garrosh and Tychus. Super classic. There's no real levels of psychology here. It's just 2 heroes that counter Diablo really well. What Garrosh does is he can interrupt Diablo's combo by using Unstoppable and throwing him somewhere else to make sure that it doesn't go bada bing, bada boom, what Diablo does. And Tychus has the damage to bring him to his knees. In comes finally Dahaka and Lunara. Very solid draft by 30k. Nothing in particular where it's like they can only play in this way or that way. It's just good generalist draft. Wildheart, they've got their special final sauce coming in. It's going to be Hanzo.
Alrighty, so a Hanzo to wrap things up. And of course, Justin, I got to get your thoughts here on what's happened in the draft and maybe your expectations on who could potentially win this first map here.
Yeah, so with Wildheart picking the Hanzo, I was kind of expecting that to be potentially a Mephisto, but I think the Tracer on the side of 30k may have dissuaded that a bit. I think that might have been the pick that they would have been hoping for, depending on what 30k had picked, because I know Zergling's hero pool as a new flex player is a little bit small compared to some of the flex players we have, as he is new to the role. They pick up the Hanzo instead so that he can have some range advantage over the Tracer, and also just out-trade her when he's in that kind of medium range. There's going to be a lot of pressure put onto Bad Benny on the Diablo. Yesterday we saw him be pretty invincible on Diablo, and with this composition with the double auto attackers of Tychus and Hanzo, it should be a lot easier to punish him. So Bad Benny's going to have to reel back his playstyle a little bit from yesterday if he's going to want to remain unkillable on that Diablo. Dino Tracer, though, we haven't gotten to see it much. When we have seen it, it's been very impressive. And I can't help but think he might be able to just sort of dance around the enemy team. That being said, Tremor on Garrosh, if you're ever in range of the Garrosh as Tracer, you're immediately going to get flip comboed into a taunt and get one shot. So both teams have a lot going for them. I'd say Wildheart's comp is very Wildheart-esque. It's very defensive and kind of play together just as a unit, 4-man, 5-man. And yeah, I think both comps definitely have the tools to win. but it's certainly going to come down to execution. 30k, no pushover by any means. Very, very strong team.
These are probably some of the strongest teams we have in HeroesCCL right now. And yesterday, Wildheart put on an amazing showcase of just overall mechanical skill, rotations, communication. Mason Blaze on that Vala was absolutely beautiful to watch. And we are going to be seeing the same thing on the side of 30k, though. We do have that Dino Tracer, Liam on the Dahaka. And I was doing some stats before we were getting into the games today. I was looking, 30k has played Lunara 9 times, and they are 8-1 with that Lunara. And Hazuabs has had a lot of success with Lunara, so it's going to be really exciting. And we are just about loaded into Tomb of the Spider Queen. So, of course, Justin, as always, thank you so much for your breakdown and analysis as we have gotten into our map number 1, and we are going to start getting into the first map of our upper bracket. Oh, this is exciting stuff here, Grubby, because we got 30k in the blue. I'm so ready for the games today. Hazuab's on the Lunara, Bad Benny on the Diablo, Liam to play the Dahaka, Yasu on the Rhaegar, and Dino on his Tracer. Over in the red, we are looking at the members of Wildheart Esports. Zergling on the Hanzo, Mason Blaze to play the Tychus, Slug Hunter on the Blaze. We're going to be seeing Tremor on the Garrosh and Weary Day on the Anduin. While we get into the first kind of scuffle here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call for that 30k win. I like so much of what they've put together here. Yes, there is that shutdown potential with the Garrosh and the combo with the Blaze coming in with a Jet Propulsion, Chastise from Anduin, Burst Ability from Hanzo, but I just really like what we've seen from 30k so far in this playoff bracket, as well as just what they've drafted. But of course, Grubby, I'd be rude not to ask, what is your, thoughts? What are your thoughts on these two drafts?
I knew you wouldn't forget about me.
I do my best.
All right, my thoughts. I think I'm with you, man. I think everything you said. 30k probably a small favorite here with the draft and the level shown so far. But we do have those strong Diablo counters in Garrosh and in Tychus, and there's always a big arrow that could be a big play that can help the rather slow and lumbering Garrosh to engage. First 2 kills here, Tracer and Hanzo. Hanzo goes down first, but Tracer paid with her life for it. That already set the stage. 2 kills in just 1 minute of game time. What kind of game we're going to be seeing, Bahamut?
I think this is just a foreshadow as to what we should expect between these two teams. And it is going to be a body check Garrosh as well, so he's going to reduce some of that healing. And this is actually a great counter to the Ancestral of Rhaegar. You reduce the healing received by 30%. You also reduce the movement speed by 35%. And with Ancestral healing being such a telegraphed heroic with a big, giant green pillar coming up, and you can usually expect the target that's going to be someone who's getting bursted down to be saved. So I really like this body check because it's also a 15-second cooldown, so we should expect to see this quite often to shut down whomever Tremor is trying to split from the side of 30k.
Exactly, and doesn't Garrosh still have that whack level 20 upgrade for it where he gets like 2 charges?
I think he does, yeah. I think there is an upgrade at level 20 for the body check.
Inner Rage, 45% healing debuff instead of 30, and a second charge. Don't usually see it.
No.
I think we usually see the the double toss?
Yes, because it pairs really well into like the mortal combo from level 16, if I'm not mistaken. But here is going to be that lockdown, or at least attempted lockdown onto Liam, who has the level 4 Lurker Strain to be able to kind of bop people back and do about 3 other things. And there was a little bit of a dive. Looks like Garrosh took a bit of damage, but we still sit 1-1 in kills, 4-4 in our levels, with Siege Giants in favor of 30k pushing into bottom lane. Neither team having their turn in, but it is going to be that early game rotations from both teams to pick up all these gems. Once you hit 50, you can summon a Web Weaver. For every sequential Web Weaver summoning, it's 5 more gems. So second one will be 55 for that team.
Any gems you turn in before the other gets their maximum required will still be in the bank when the next objective phase becomes available, so it's not wasted effort, like for instance in an Infernal Shrine skeletal battle. So depositing gems at any point is always a good step towards progress in the future. Diablo, nice cleanse there, Purification by Yasu, preventing the QE combo that Tremor was thinking about to throw him into the minigun and Zergling scatter range.
That's a really strong talent. It was we had some changes onto Rhaegar for anyone that might have missed them. We had a patch a little bit ago, and Rhaegar does have a new baseline, or I guess a trait ability is activatable, is going to be a 45-second cooldown. It's Purge, which allows you to give a 0.5-second unstoppable and you onto an ally, but you can also use it onto enemies to slow them for 80% over 2 seconds, or decaying over 2 seconds. So a little bit of a chase potential tool. We actually could see the level 7 upgrade. No, it's going to be the totem upgrade. We did see that purification upgrade at level 7 a couple times yesterday. Gives you some cooldown reduction, gives you some damage into the enemy as well. Kind of cool talent, but totem build seems like it is the jam for a lot of these Rhaegar players.
Yeah, it's pretty nice to get Colossal Totem being more healthy and big, because you get heals off of your totem at 13. The fact that it has more health means you're probably going to be getting more heals out as well. Nice damage coming in there. Lunara can do into Garrosh what is called gapping. Bit of a strange term, but it basically means this. When an opponent frontliner is trying to close the gap, you're using that gap time in order to damage him enough to dissuade him from being able to make such a play. So if Garrosh gets to walk forward out of a bush or mounted straight into the enemy team with full life, he's pretty much going to be unkillable. That's why you want to unload as much poke and range damage on him as possible, which is called gapping, in order to make him need to turn around without getting the fruits of his labor. You see him dropping to 50% life already. He's now in closer kill range, and Lunara is excellently suited for this with her long-range poison damage. The first Web Weaver has been summoned by 30k. They're going to be splitting in a tactical 1-1-3 location, with Diablo and Rhaegar not showing in vision, and looking for potential strays, looking to unequal the odds in the bottom lane. Bad Penny goes around. He actually chooses to target Slug Hunter with 22 gems. Everyone's barreling down here. It's a 4 versus 3. Slug Hunter trying to run away. Lunara gets 1 poison hit. Can press W. Does he have a W? No! Either he didn't have it or he forgot to click it. Oh, he didn't. No, he did click it. He did click
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was so much potential, but you know, speaking of gapping, it was also Garrosh was creating a little bit of space for that Blaze to be able to get away. And you were mentioning Lunara, and I really want to kind of continue on this thought, this thread, I guess you could say, that you're bringing up, because Garrosh does have physical armor, and Lunara is actually really well equipped, especially with this level 4 and 7 with the extra range on the Blossom Swell and the Choking Pollen for the burst ability. This allows you to really chunk into Tremor, and Tremor has physical armor, so Dino will struggle because, as we all know, Garrosh, with his trait, as he loses health, he gains physical armor. Well, it's going to make it difficult for Tracer, an auto-attack-based hero, to really get a lot of damage in, but Lunara, she's got that poison damage, that spell damage. That is not going to be something that armor really mitigates too well, and you can really start to burst into Tremor, and you also have the damage over time that kind of threatens his health pool as well. So a lot of really cool pickups and tools and tactics used by the side of 30k, but I'm not counting Wildheart out by any means. I think they're playing really well. They're going to summon Web Weavers, and Grubby, you want to maybe get into some Wildheart comms, see how they push with these Web Weavers?
It's a fresh day. Let's hear how they're getting on.
Let's go ahead and jump on into the comms of Wildheart. Alrighty, well, we're going to have a little bit of a pause right there, and we'll find out what's going to happen, and we'll get back into the game in just a second. Either way, Grubby, sorry, I was trying to fix something on the side. Any kind of takeaways from the comms we heard right there?
Let's see. Not too much, I guess. We kind of jumped in as Diablo was being tossed in, and they took him down pretty easily. I wouldn't say there was too much to parse through. It was a short period. We did see that body check, minus 30% healing. I admired Yasuo's ancestral healing time on Diablo. He was in the right position to deliver it. It wasn't as impactful because of the body check from Garrosh. And it was thrown in. Nice light bomb follow-up by Weary Day there. The second kill of the game for Wildheart. And it's a pretty big deal. If we just look at the situation, we've got Web Weaver at the bottom. Pretty much going to fizzle out before it reaches. Middle is gone. Top is gone. So it's pretty much this 5-man standard vanilla push without any extra support on the fort. That is the remainder of the objective phase. Pretty timid early phase, but not too bad of a result for HeroesHearth.
All right, so WildHeart, they managed to give themselves a kill. They open up the map a little bit further, and the bottom lane Webweaver will be taken down. And here is the kind of what we have still for the side of 30k versus WildHeart. When it comes to gems, we have the turn availability for 30k. We'll see if they're going to go for this turn in or if they're going to wait for 13. There is a kind of gank being set up. Oh, no, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't realize that they just got enough gems on the side of WildHeart, so they're going for the back-to-back. As the wave's already pushed in, Weird Day gets those last few gems in. Bad Benny does scout out with the Fire Stomp, and we are going to be seeing Webweaver summoned again for the side of WildHeart. And let's see what they get from this. Actually, I'm looking at minimap. Okay, no, I was wondering, I was like, is Liam in trouble on that Dahaka being so far forward? But there's no major rotation to him.
And a small little note just from the caster side here, Baha and I, we acknowledge that you guys didn't hear any comms at all. A small little technical issue, probably alleviated next time, but you didn't miss much. It was pretty chill, even when you hear what they said, and there wasn't much. It was a short period of time, so they might as well be telepaths, yes.
Ah, yes. That'd be great. We all just get that kind of that hive mind going. Maybe we get an Abathur in our comms and we can just, all synergize so very easily. That's a great way to finally get on the same page when it comes to playing maybe in Storm League together. But either way, Garrosh is going to pop the Indomitable, dive into the Bad Benny, who will be getting the Ancestor healing, mitigated a little bit by the body check, but it's still Tremor who is in trouble, who tries to get into the bunker. Anduin goes down, so will the Hanzo, and it's actually Tremor who's going to throw Mason Blaze in with the grenade, finds the kill. Still Garrosh goes down. The Webweavers may have found the mid lane fort, but it is going to be 30k who have found themselves 4 fantastic kills. This is going to be Boss plus Webweavers. That is a huge hit to the side of WildHeart.
Yeah, the way that happened is that Garrosh Tremor, he went pretty deep in order to try and secure Diablo. Once again, the Ancestral healing there to save him. Many tools were used to try and take down the Diablo, but Hazuops was therefore much safer. He was on that perimeter, getting massive poison damage into both Tremor's Garrosh and into Hanzo from Zergling as well. They tried to get into the bunker, but their health had dropped low enough for there to be no recourse for them to even make it out there. A lot of resources into tank. Don't focus the tank, though. Often it is right to focus the tank, but this time the turnaround from 30k was real good. They got the kills, and it... Yeah, the taunt missed, but he still gets the toss. Blink, blink, blink away. Oh, that was a lot of resources into Tracer.
That was arrow from Hanzo. That was a toss combo attempt from Garrosh, Warlord's challenge, and Dino spends all of his blink charges and gets away, and he's basically full again. Already continuing to push in with the rest of 30k in this top lane. Commandeer Odin will be summoned by Mason Blaze as a defensive anti-siege tool. We have Liam on the Dahaka pushing into Slug Hunter through mid, and still the Webweaver in bottom lane still healthy, as this top lane Webweaver is going to take down Keep Front Gate. And with the 5-3 in kills, specifically those kills coming late game for the side of 30k, we're going to be seeing a solid 2-level lead.
Very nice job here by 30k in the inaugural match here on this Sunday. One of the last 3 days of the playoffs. We're going to see everything concluded next weekend, but today we're going to see who drops to 4th place and who will guarantee themselves a top 2. The winner of this match, of this best of 5, is guaranteed top 2. Right now, all they have is top 3. That's pretty much how double elim works. Every single match pretty much advances you 1 spot. Normally, it's about 2 spots of single elimination. So every rank must be fought for tooth, nail, and claw. That's what's happening here. 30k with a solid lead. We look at the gem count. They're able to back-to-back pay, and they're doing just that with Yasuo and Rhaegar tapping the bruiser camp to add even more fuel to the fire and making sure that pushes alongside the Web Weavers.
I like this summon from 30k, and since we kind of juked the viewers at home, do you want to maybe get into 30k comms here so they can actually hear some comms in this game?
And if they don't, we'll let you know 1 minute later what they said.
Perfectly. All right, in we go.
I'm going.
I'm going top now.
They might be bottom side though.
Yeah, it seems like they're forward
I
side.
can't place by the way, yeah?
Wait, maybe it's risky.
It's no unstoppable.
Care mid, they're looking now as 5.
Yeah, I'm around the top side.
I think we siege mid here, no? Together?
I can cleanse you as well. You can...
I will siege bottom, but there's a huge mid wave.
I need to
Odin
turn.
down again.
You can cleanse me, right, Rhaegar?
Yeah. I'm walking mid now. I already got bottom shoved.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Can't really blame.
Yeah, I guess it's hard. It's fine. We got the
He
walls.
pre-tapped.
A lot of top value.
Yeah.
If I think Gyara's leaving, I will go.
Care top now, I think.
Yeah, care top soon.
And they're coming back here.
Yeah, I guess we just get bot camp out in 15.
I mean, this is super good though. Like, we want to fight with the map open like this. If they
Hey.
walk up, we take a fight for sure.
We do this.
I'm going.
Yeah. They don't have
Actually,
much.
I let you
Care
go.
top,
want
care top.
the
Garrosh
Russian
is
top.
coming.
Yeah. I like a wisp, yeah. Garrosh is...
It died.
yeah,
My bad.
Okay.
They're hard forcing. They have low gems though. 40.
Yeah.
Might run
We
It
the
might be
arrow.
on me. I'm running soon.
We have the easy camp now. We are coming back.
Got to hear a little bit of the game plan. The cool things that I was actually also hearing was we were hearing a lot of future planning and stuff like that with in the comms. But the cool thing I also heard was Hazoabs was actually calling out when people were tapping well, which is kind of interesting because we all know a well is a 2-minute cooldown. So that means that, all right, for the next 2 minutes, we know that this character can't tap well and maybe they're more burstable. It's just really, really cool little calls we heard, at least right there. But a big fight will break out here, Grubby.
Yeah, Rhaegar cannot get in range of Ancestral. Now actually he can. That was really helpful for him that Garrosh threw him over the shoulder. He wasn't in range. The turnaround is real big. They get 2 kills. Circling goes down. Weary Day goes down. Tremor goes down. And now we have Tychus going down as well. It's only Blaze left. Suddenly the map is so open up. They get 5 kills right before we can even say thank you very much. The game is over. 5-man wipe. Of course, you had Wildheart desperate to make something happen. There's 3 against 5 forts. They're 2 levels down. They know that unless they make something unexpected happen, they pretty much aren't going to get a chance. They're just going to get out macroed infinitely all the way until they have to fall down on their knees. And in this case, they try to make a play with an arrow into Diablo, not the primary target, but they had to roll with it. At that moment, they've used a big resource like that. They've got to try, but 30k was just impervious to this kind of attack. Turn it around. GG, first win to 30k.
30k takes map number 1 fairly well. Like, that was a dominant play from the side of 30k. Wildheart did show some signs of life, did have some cool moments trying to shred in, but once again, Mason Blaze with a couple kills right there. But of course, Justin, I know you've been taking some notes. You've been watching very intensely during this game, and I'm sure you got a lot to break down from Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, so it was cool to finally see the Tracer being picked up to kind of tell how they were going to use it. It wasn't used exclusively to fight enemy heroes. It was actually just used to bully Slug Hunter on the Blaze in the early game. The pressure between Rhaegar and Tracer allowed them to basically get every single siege camp bot lane, and that allowed them to just get a slow advantage, a creeping advantage through bot, since their first turn-in got the entire bottom fort when they attempted to dive the Blaze later. So 30k was kind of setting up the map from the very start to play through bottom, which worked pretty well for them there. They ended up getting the entire fort, which you typically don't get a whole fort off the first turn-in. For comparison, Wildheart's first turn-in, they got half of 1 fort. So not quite the same amount of value, because that means that 30k is getting that passive XP stacking up. The early game overall, though, pretty back and forth, and it looked like Wildheart was doing fairly well, but the Diablo just gets far too tanky. They only managed to take him down in front of when they had the fort, or the gate, helping them. It was basically, it needs to be like this type of situation. This is it right here, actually. This was the only time where Bad Benny was really under any pressure, and without those 2 towers hitting him, he might not even be going down there. So it felt like the damage from Wildheart was a little bit lacking, and 30k was really playing to that. Also, the advantage that Liam got in the offlane was quite huge. This was the moment where they were pre-level 20, and it was kind of a moment of desperation. Wildheart goes for the fight, and Tremor, it's kind of awkward because he wants to throw Bad Benny, but Slug Hunter's there to try to follow up on the stun, so they're just really disjointed. The Light Bomb and the taunt combo from Garrosh doesn't even get to hit because they're waiting for the Slug Hunter stun to come in. It was just a really awkward fight, and that was kind of their final moment where they were desperate. They wanted to fight before level 20. And the arrow onto Diablo, not quite what you need to set up those engages, and fighting in those tight chokes, that was kind of their downfall for Wildheart, and where 30k really thrived with their composition. The moment where the game really started pulling ahead for 30k was that choke fight, where Bad Benny got a huge APOC that just kind of cut off an entire huge choke in the fight, and they funneled in, and that's kind of just a playground for Hasuabs on the Lunara and Dino on the Tracer, being able to just play on both sides of the fight, just throwing stuff at them, and there's really no way to punish that for a Garrosh. Garrosh just got kited quite a bit by Lunara slows. You have the Rhaegar totem, and it was just really difficult for him to really get in range. I can't help but feel like if Zergling was a little bit more flexible, and we saw him on the Tychus, and instead saw Mason Blaze playing the Vala, it looked like that's what they were going for, but the Hanzo just didn't feel like it brought enough in that game. They didn't have enough sustained damage to really be threatening to the side of 30k. And 30k just kind of suffocates them on that map and just completely shuts them down.
It was really well said, and I was actually going to ask you about that Vala, Justin, because I was curious myself. I was like, I feel like I don't feel like the Hanzo was bad by any means, and I don't think the Tychus was bad by any means, but I feel like, yeah, I think swapping that around, maybe Zergling on said Tychus, and then you definitely have Vala played by Mason Blaze again, because Mason Blaze has stupendous positioning. We saw it all day yesterday. He knew when he could, like, Mason Blaze literally knew when he could just stand still and auto attack on Towers of Doom yesterday. Like, it's rare when you get that level of just kind of like, okay, cool, I can just sit here and just pew 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 for the next like minute and a half, and I'm not even going to be threatened. So we'll have to see how all of that works out. We'll have to see how Wildheart adjusts, because we are ready to find out where we're going to go to for map number 2, and it's going to be the map choice of 30k, as Wildheart has opted for first pick priority, and 30k, they are going to be choosing to take us to Dragonshire. For anyone that has caught the games yesterday, we all know 30k, well, they got a little too excited about ending on this map and accidentally kind of tripped over their own feet ending on the core, and it was actually a loss yesterday. But right now, map score for both these teams, 30k, they sit 1-1, but that loss is kind of an asterisk a little bit. Over on the side of Wildheart, they played this map one time, and it is a loss. So we're going to be seeing some cool stuff as we get into the draft right here. And of course, as always, to kick off the draft, I have to ask you, Justin, any sort of thoughts or anticipation getting into Dragonshire?
So I mentioned it in the draft yesterday on Dragonshire. Pick comps are kind of just the easiest way to play Dragonshire, and probably the most efficient method of playing the map. Being able to constantly have the threat of always getting just instantly bursted down and chain CC'd in one shot is really scary on this map, especially if you have a tank that can jump over walls to the bot lane, like Muradin, or who can control that inner triangle of vision between the mid and bot lane. It's really important to be able to control that space. So I would expect some kind of things that lend to pick compositions, maybe a Varian. Diablo, this is one of his weaker maps in general, just because he's so unsafe in a lot of places. If he charges in, he's pretty far from home most of the time, unless you're fighting around the actual temples themselves. But we have seen Bad Benny picking Diablo in situations where it looks like it's going to be a little bit difficult, and he seemed to be mostly just invincible. So that would be something that I would definitely be looking at. On the side of Wildheart, is maybe we don't give Bad Benny Diablo, because when he's on Diablo, it really feels like he's just invincible. It doesn't matter that there's a Tychus on the enemy team. It doesn't feel like that's enough. So I would like to see either Diablo priority or just banning it away from Bad Benny, even though this might not be his best map.
I agree. I mean, yesterday we saw Bad Benny kick off the matchup against Storm Esports on Towers of Doom, and it was, I wouldn't say the Bad Benny show, but he was just shadow charging in rotations when people should have felt safe. Like, he was just everywhere and anywhere at some point. I mean, there was that Towers of Doom top lane gank yesterday, or yeah, it was Towers of Doom top lane gank, where it's just like Diablo doesn't rotate to top, and there he is. He's shadow charging into your face. But of course, Grubby, I'm sure you've got some thoughts or excitement about the Dragonshire drafts.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday as well in Dragonshire. It's actually my favorite map, and you know, in Storm League, it's so far away from what we see in CCL. Just to kind of have people understand what Dragonshire drafts look like, it's often people with a lot of mobility, preferably teleports or jumps, so that you can jump up and down the map quite literally as you try to gank top, go mid, gank pulse. In Storm League, it's like people generally split 1-0-4. No one mid, 4 bot, infinite battle, stacking heaven for Zul'jin, whatnot. Top 1-on-1, it's an island, no one ever goes there. So different in CCL. You got people going 4 top, leaving like a Junkrat or a Chromie in the bottom lane defending. The minions there. You've got a lot of going up and forth. We call them rotations, and it's when people rotate to go to another lane. And vision play is crucial. If you clear the mid wave, they don't have vision when you're going top, and the solo laner needs to be on their toes, whether you're really there or not. Then suddenly you can, boom, hit them at a camp, boom, beat bot lane. That's the name of the game. You'll see kills sometimes in CCL that look like the guy wasn't looking out, but it's because they're constantly parsing information about where they are, where they can't be, where they can be. When you play out of vision, you just don't know.
Ooh. Well, of course, Grubby, I don't want to take away from all the information you just gave us, because you did break down a lot of cool concepts.
Let's go.
And I just got to say, like, this Diablo Brightwing, I mean, Blaze, really quickly, stats for anyone that's wondering. Blaze for the side of 30k is 8-1. 9 times played, 8-1. Lunara is now 9-1. 10 times played. But of course, Justin, I'm sure you're seeing through these drafts and you know exactly what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah, they're gonna pick a tank probably. Oh, there it is. Oh my god.
Oh, whoa, crazy.
Wow. So the Murden does get picked up by Tremor. Tremor did go the Murden build that I think is best in the previous series on Murden that he played, and it looked really impressive seeing him just jump on everybody, slow them all from very far away at level 16, having that jump range with the slow that sets up his Stormbolt. This is easily one of Murden's best maps. The main concern in this situation is that once again, there isn't a lot of damage for Diablo, especially with the Rexar being picked up. I think that's a little bit weird. Bad Benny should be legitimately invincible in this game. I'm expecting him to go the Devil's Due that he's been taking a lot lately. And most of the time when you're fighting on Dragonshire, you have the opportunity to get globes. When you're fighting, you're mostly fighting in the lanes in places where globes are available. So, and also in the early game, you're going to have your taps. Your wells are going to be close enough to you that you can pre-tap, and Devil's Due pre-tap with souls is kind of ridiculous. You're basically invincible even if they have things that can kill you, so it's going to be very difficult for Wildheart to focus the front line in this game. Most likely they're going to have to try to get some kind of CC onto the back line, onto the Falstad, onto the Lunara, but that's a very difficult task, especially when Brightwing has the AoE cleanse. The level 20s, they do get the Boars upgrade, but again, Brightwing level 20, or Brightwing cleanse is going to mostly negate that, and Falstad's going to get the Wind Tunnel, which is very disruptive, and top lane is going to be very, very difficult, whether that is the Rexar or the Yrel there. I think it's going to be a lot harder for the side of Wildheart than 30k, because they have the Brightwing on 30k to teleport and make it a 2v1, and they also have the Falstad, so theoretically you could instantly be in a 3 versus 1 situation at any point in time when you think that you're just safe in a solo lane, whether that is top or bottom. So it looks like 30k is going to be playing the map fairly standard. Wildheart is going to be doing things slightly differently, most likely leaving Yrel and Rexar top and bottom, and then having a 3-man rotate around because they did draft 2 solo laners, which is a little strange. So they're mostly playing for the map, especially with the Rhaegar, but when it comes to team fights, things might be quite difficult because 30k's comp is basically just a perfect team fight composition. It's going to be real tough to fight them, even at level 20.
Well, thank you, Justin, for the breakdown, as always, because we've just loaded on in, and I gotta say, I am loving what 30k is drafting. We'll get into Grubby and my opinion in just a second, because we have to introduce these two teams, as we got 30k in the blue, Liam on the Blaze, Hazoabs on the Lunara, Bad Benny on the Diablo, Dino to play the Falstad, and Yasu on the Brightwing. Over on the right, Wildheart Esports, Mason Blaze on the Sylvanas, Slug Hunter on the Yrel, Zergling on the Rexar, Rhaegar to be played by Weary Day, Tremor on the Murden, and as always, of course, we got Misha playing Misha. Cool, a couple talents that I wanted to talk about, but really quickly, before we even get into our skirmish here, gotta say, I'm loving what 30k is drafted. I feel like there's just so much kill potential and threat. Just the Lunara Diablo is terrifying, and then you add in a Blaze, a Falstad, a Brightwing, so it's really strong for the side of 30k. I do think Wildheart have some cool opportunities, but they're really going to have to impress with this draft. And we can talk about talents in a little bit here, because I want to get Grubby's opinion on these two drafts and just your thoughts here, my friend.
Yeah, I think Bahamut, I think Diablo should be invincible as advertised. I think Lunara Falstad can remain safe enough. Blaze should be invincible as well. Super confused by the Rexar pick. Now, we did see some Rexar triple bruiser compositions, specifically by 30k. And what was it combined with in those days? Do you remember the assassin? Wasn't it Li Ming often?
Li Ming often, yeah, for 30k?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe Dino played it extremely well.
Yeah, so Li Ming normally shouldn't be solo assassin, but it was good because they had so much CC, still respectable damage coming out of a Yrel and out of a Rexar. And with that much CC, you were able to keep people close enough to have Li Ming hit all of her shots, get a kill, and then CC the next person. It was good, it worked well. It worked on Dragonshire, but 30k invented that build, as far as I know. And in this case, Wildheart is doing that into a Diablo Blaze frontline. It's going to be tough because I don't know that Sylvanas has the bandwidth to kill Diablo, let alone anyone else, by herself. And yeah, it's respectable damage, Murden, Yrel, Rexar, but I don't know that it's enough. Maybe this is more of a macro play. Rehgar, Sylvanas put a lot of macro pressure. Yrel, Rexar are super independent, hard to kill. Maybe they're just hoping to snowball structures and have that level lead. Level lead is also bonus damage. We'll wait and see how it goes. But I'm feeling fairly confident for 30k, even though Wildheart is off to a nice little start for the time being.
When we talk about Sylvanas' damage, and I know Justin was talking about Devil's Due, and I'm sure he's very happy about it being Soul Shield here, and I think that there's a lot of overlap with what they've picked up, like with this level 1, but let me hold that thought here, because the phase shift from Brightwing will come on to Liam. We do have a fight over this top lane right now. Liam very low. He tries to back away, does pop the Adrenal Stim Pack, but that is going to be Grubby. First blood.
First blood.
We're so close.
That would stink for me. I gotta be faster.
but it is really cool to see the Soul Shield for Diablo, because that mitigates some of Sylvanas' damage. Then you have Brightwing with her own way of just giving spell shields as well, and so there's just overlapping damage mitigation that you can have into the Sylvanas and kind of just cripple her output. So I think maybe that's the direction they're going. But either way, some cool other talents to discuss here while the first Dragon Knight does go over to the side of Wildheart. We do have, once again, the Frequent Flyer. In the past, it was like only Gathering Storm. It was all mage stat, if you will. But I like that we're kind of revisiting the auto attack build, because with the 3 tanky fellows between Yrel, Rexar, and Muradin, and then you also have Misha, who can be quite tanky as well. The percent-based damage with the sustained wins at level 13 will really start to chunk in these fights. So I think it's only a matter of time before 30k really start pressuring Wildheart, and that pressure is already being applied to both sides. It's 1-1 in kills, 7-7 in levels. Bad Benny being threatened by a lot of Wildheart members. Can he live? The phase shift comes through from the Brightwing. Righteous Hammer from Yrel. Rehgar will expire in the Dragon Knight. Bad Benny trying to back away, getting those fire stomps out. The Righteous Hammer is saving, actually, the Righteous Hammer saves him. Hazuabs with 4 HP gets taken down by Sylvanas in the bottom lane. So, the Wildheart members do find their kill in Sylvanas, unfortunately not into Diablo.
Into Lunara, right? Like,
Lunara, sorry,
I know what you mean. Yeah, taking Hazuabs down there, and you know, we did get a taste for how hard Diablo's to kill. Just when you think you've got him, in pops the Brightwing, in comes the Cleanse to free him. And it looks like there was so much CC that Diablo just couldn't move. But that Fire Stomp build not only gives more damage sources, which resets Soul Shield more quickly. You've got the Soul Shield, he had about 60 spell armor, but it also heals him and gives him bonus souls every time it passes through enemy heroes. But there's so much CC. Wildheart smartly also focused into Lunara. They got the kill there. Maybe that's going to be it. Lock down Diablo in infinite CC and then switch target. Good job by Wildheart.
Wildheart find themselves a little ahead here in experience, as well as that kill. And, well, that kill is pushing experience. And it looks like we have a little replay of that first blood. So, Grubby, could you break down how this actually happened?
Yeah, here we go. We see that they're jumping in on Blaze. Blaze can't escape when you're pushing a wall into him. Then the turnaround comes in on Weary Day. Weary Day's dropping low. Bad Benny's trying to kill him rather than saving Blaze. Blaze just couldn't make it out. Mason Blaze actually ends up taking him down. He's like, I'm the only Blaze.
I'm the only Blaze. Alrighty, well, we have the 10 talent tiers coming through for the side of Wildheart, and it is going to be Bloodlust Rehgar. This is the third Bloodlust we've seen in like a couple weeks, but here comes the Bloodlust into Bad Benny. They're going to try and find the damage necessary to kill him, but no, the switching of the target onto Liam. Unfortunately, it's going to be Dissuaded Dino coming in as well. Misha finds a good charge onto Dino. We have the Boars as the level 10 for the Rexar as well. I was looking to see if it is going to be that upgrade onto the Bear attack. But speaking of the Bear, Misha will fall. Quarter kill going over to the side of of 30k. We do have 30k achieving their 10 talent tiers. We have the Lightning Breath from Diablo. No Apocalypse this time, which I was kind of thinking it would be Apocalypse and then like Wind Tunnel at 20. So you Wind Tunnel them into like a corner, and then you Apocalypse, and you just have this Mighty Gust chain CC lockdown, and then Lunar comes in with a big burst. But hey, we'll see what happens because Lightning Breath is still very strong.
Baha, it's a very potent combo, and if they could get straight to level 20, I'm sure they would do it like how you said. I guess they're choosing for a better early game, because here's why I think they did it. going Lightning Breath, he's permanently unstoppable, and he's facing more CC than he ever has in his life. So he wants to make sure he doesn't get CC'd out of it. Trying to go an Apocalypse combo at level 10, he's sure to be interrupted from his Q into R into E combo by any source of CC. So he wouldn't be able to properly combo single target. Lightning Breath is going to keep him in that fight. Dragonite capped by Wildheart. Great macro there. And we also see the answer to, do we have enough damage? Yes, with Bloodlust, making everyone a little bit more relevant in that damage output. Wildheart is kind of bucking the expectations of yours truly here and the rest of your casting and analysis team here, in that they are, for now, kind of in the lead. Cleanse already used on Rexar. He gets polymorphed, he gets Gust. He's in a bad position, trying to use Misha to stay alive, but he will be falling. Nice elimination. It does mean that 30k leaves the Dragonite to do whatever it wills in the mid fort.
Mid fort will be taken down to about 50%. That little bit of a flame breath is going to continue to deal some damage. Right now, the Dragonite deals 477 damage into structures. That is doubled from the baseline of 238.5, but we round up in Heroes of Storm. Anyways, with the structural advantage, I guess you could say it's structural advantage because there's been more gates taken down. We do see a slight experience advantage to the side of Wildheart with that 13 talent here, but Tremor comes in with a big Stormbolt, but did he fight off more than he can possibly chew? The cleanse has already been utilized. Bad Benny trying to back away is going to get Chain, Seed. Oh my god, the overlap from Wildheart was beautifully done there. Stormbolt into charge from Misha, and then just sustained damage from the Sylvanas, but it's not going to be enough, and we see Ardent Defender used by Yrel. Falstad trying to body block, and Slug Hunter will have that 2-minute cooldown as the fight re-engages through mid.
Everyone focusing Diablo again. Basically the low-hanging fruit, even though it's not quite ripe yet, they're going for it nonetheless. The easiest thing to reach. Ideal target, of course, would be Falstad or Brightwing or so, even Lunara, who has no escape, but you'll take whatever you can, what's near. And once again, the target is the Bad Benny, but he's got 75 spell shield. Fighting over the siege camp.
Liam will go down first. Tremor is getting a little bit low. That's going to be the Lightning Breath coming out from Diablo. Weary Day is going to be the target for the Lightning Breath, and he's going to get cooked a little bit, but he's not going to have his buns cooked too much because Weary Day is still fine. Slug Hunter gets on the point. This is all for a siege camp that does go over the side of 30k, and a nice Stormbolt thrown back. The fadeaway Stormbolt to make sure that no one continues to chase in. That Benny angling, no, he's just taking the aggressive positioning to make sure that the wave is going to be cleared out. And now Grubby, as we have the shrines activating here in a second, I gotta quiz you here, just like in grade school. What's that little symbol underneath Diablo mean?
The Black Soul Stone shows when he's got 100 souls, which means if he dies, he can come back, sacrificing all those 100 souls and resurrecting just 5 seconds later, instead of whatever the death timer is around that time. And now it would be about 35, 40 seconds or so. You can see that by that Black Soul Stone icon underneath his feet. A good friend taught me that, and now we all know that.
That's very true. You know, as you were saying that, you know, it'd be kind of cool for Diablo, and maybe this is a little broken in the concept. It'd be really cool if you could choose whether or not you want to use your souls.
Yeah.
Because right now you have no choice. It's just like it just goes. Because that's how Kel'Thuzad phylactery stacks work, right? Like you have the choice to activate it or not, even if it's done. I don't think it like Malthael too. Yeah, Malthael too.
Just Diablo can't choose, which is why sometimes you want to die at 99 souls so that you can come back whenever you want to, not at maybe a less relevant time. But that's part of the design, and I think it makes sense. Going in on Muradin here, he still had Avatar, so he was confident to stay alive. Meanwhile, Yrel and Blaze fighting over the center. Yrel zoning him out.
So Yrel is zoning out Blaze. We have Falstad maybe flying his way. Yeah, he's going to barrel roll forward, so Falstad leaving means that the Wildheart crew can step up. That's another Lightning Breath. Bloodlust will be used. Misha is taking a little bit of damage, but now Bad Benny. This is such a good play from Wildheart. Instead of staying around Bad Benny, they just chase the lower health pool heroes, and they go underneath the tower, but that tower was already low. That fort, Mason Blaze is going to be the target. A great gust coming out from Falstad to delay the back away or the disengage from Wildheart, and that does mean that the main damage dealer in Sylvanas is down. Dragonite could be channeled here, but Bad Benny, they want to get revenge on that Hazuab's kill. Dino is going to be in a bit of a precarious spot as we do have the Boars unleashed by Rexar. Misha dealing some decent damage, just kind of living around the 30k crew as Yrel has quickly run to top lane to try and stall out this Dragonite phase. Quickly checking, Falstad has flight in 3 seconds.
Yeah, he just got interrupted by Misha, actually. He was flying. to try and go mid to cap before he knew that Yrel would definitively take back top on time. But yeah, Zergling interrupted him with the Misha stun, so nice little touch there. That was an excellent gust by Dino. There was 4 people right underneath him, and he was able to angle it in such a way that it pushed away 3, but left Sylvanas right where he wanted her to, and he took her down. That was pretty important because it was a 4v5, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of heroes on the map.
Yeah,
that was 30k's comeback point.
Another great Shadow Charge overpower, focusing on a Tremor burst from Hazuab's coming out as well, and that was actually, as you were noting, Hazuab's went down really early in that fight, and then 30k still went for the fight, or went for the chase. And speaking of chase, Slug Hunter, okay, we see some assist pings, and those were mostly just to say, you know, let's chase Slug Hunter, but Slug Hunter's able to get away with that level 7 Divine Steed for the insta-mount and quick speed. You actually move a little bit faster, it decays over a few seconds. With 16s up on both sides, another fight might break out in mid.
It's always worth taking out Misha, even though it's not exactly a full hero. It basically neuters Rexar to a point where he's much less dangerous. So you see plenty of that, focusing Misha by Bad Benny and friends. Let's see, Bunker is available, so he's not under any threat. He's choosing not to use it because the phase shift is popping in. And goes in with a little stun on Rexar.
Volstad in bottom lane, just clearing out waves, but keep in mind that those minion kills raise his frequent flyer damage. For every minion killed, you are able to get a 0.2 basic attack damage upgrade, and for every hero you kill, you get 0.5. So heroic kills or big team fights are very beneficial for Volstad. He always wants to be around them for that extra stacking. And now Slug Hunter, don't know, I was expecting Slug Hunter to go over the wall, and I think so was Yasu, who was waiting with the polymorph, but a great Arcane Flare is going to find that last hit onto Yrel, and a fight might break out in top. We do see Bad Benny rotating through the bushes.
That was so good that Hazu showed up on time to help, but he chose not to wait for the polymorph bonus damage to confirm the kill before the ults could even be used. Bunker there on Blaze, he's going to pop out with about 5% health. Muradin Tremor goes in for the kill, but he hits Stormbolt on different targets. Valsa Dino getting attacked here, he's trying to get away from the Misha, but there's not enough follow-up damage. Meanwhile, Muradin, chased by Bad Benny, he tried to get the kill, tried to walk away like nothing happened, but Bad Benny remembers and takes him down. Nice set of kills there by 30k, and it's time for them to start equalizing the structural disparity that had been built up against them. 7-4 in kills. They've been somewhat more effective despite some genius moves by Wildheart. Now they're looking to take down some forts. They're practically 2 forts down. They have to even the score.
Here comes a dive underneath tower shots onto Zergling. He will use the Feign Death to buy a few seconds. Slug Hunter trying to come in and help as well. Weary Day with some chain healing. Muradin dead for the next 7 seconds. Sylvanas in mid lane trying to clear things out. Dino in bottom just doing the best thing that you can do as a global. This is I gotta say, I love this so much, and this is a great example. If you're a Falstead player, Dahaka player, you don't need to be flying into top lane, okay? You don't need to be there. You in this bottom lane Dino right here, this is exactly where he needs to be because he is uncontested. There's so much pressure through top. You have Dragonite still rotating around and is able to kind of rotate down and maybe get a Savage Kick to save. I just think it's so well played from 30k on the macro sense. They are spreading themselves across this map and finding as much value as they possibly can during this Dragonite phase. As Augustus come through, slows Weary Day and Tremor as the Bloodlust will come out, and that's not going to be enough because Diablo comes through with the Shadow Charge, plays a little extra damage. That's going to be the Lightning Breath. Is there enough damage from Lunara over time? Tremor does tap well. He does have his trait kicking in. Sylvanas with the Wailing Arrow. Liam gets the Jet Propulsion forward. Misha will fall. The Bunker is getting attacked by a tower. I think Diablo was really low, so he pops out the last second. And now once again, 30k are going to continue to pressure this map, finding small advantages. And I have to say, Grubby, this 30k team, you cannot give Bad Benny his Diablo because it's just disgusting what he's doing here.
They've tried to mass CC him, they've tried to Garrosh Tychus him, but he keeps finding effective angles. I still remember watching his stream once. He was just 1v5ing as Diablo, getting kill after kill with his preferred charge build. This time he's got the more defensive one, and it seems to have paid dividends for him. Those Firestorm flames that return to him heal him up big time and keep giving him his souls. But should he ever fall once in a moment of inattention, losing souls might be the last thing he does, as that is a large part of his survivability. Kind of like Alarak and his sadism, you gotta pop it once, and then the game gets a lot easier. Wildheart is not down and out. They still have 2 keeps. They now get their own level 20s, which is going to be Seraphim, the Unstoppable on Yrel, Blink on Sylvanas, We've got the rooting Boars on Rexart. That does get hard countered by Brightwing, though. We get a longer duration Bloodlust. Let's not worry too much about the range. That's pretty much, we're going to group up for it anyway. And Rewind on Muradin. Not the strongest level 20s, I must say, but it may just be what Wildheart needs in order to get back in there. They're going to be bruising for a fight, Bahamut.
We're talking about 20s here, and we also got to mention Epic Mount for the Falstead, which basically takes his flight down to a 25-second cooldown as it removes 50 seconds off the 75-second cooldown of said flight. And either way, it just allows Dino to get around the map faster. You've got the upgrade on the Thornwood Vines for Hazuobs, which pairs extremely well into the level 7 and 4 of Choking Pollen Blossom Swell because it applies stacks. I like when we look at the two sides of the heroics, as you had mentioned, I definitely feel like, yes, 30k do have the better and the more interesting or better utility heroics at level 20, but let's see what actually happens with this upgrade in this fight right here, because Bad Benny, he's looking for a Hellgate. That's going to be a Hellgate forward. There's going to be a gust from Falstead. Mason Blaze is finding damage onto Dino at the bottom of our screen, and Lunar will fall at the top of our screen. It's a double kill for Wildheart. Maybe we undersold these talents. Maybe I oversold the side of 30k, but that is a triple kill to the side of Wildheart. Really well played. Not expected, but I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication for the side of 30k. Looked like Bad Benny was going in with the Hellgate and the Lightning Breath, all that stuff, and there was just a gust that didn't synergize with it. Unfortunate play for 30k. Very fortunate play for the side of Wildheart. Let's see what they do with this Dragonite, as it is going to be running its way into bottom lane, dealing 900 damage into structures.
Bad Benny was like, I'm carrying this game on my back, and I think Dino misheard it. He's like, you want me to gust him on your back? And Bad Benny's like, oh, no, we got to turn around my Lightning Breath 360 degrees to the other side. And it just didn't work out there. And then Mason Blaze had that cool kill on Falstad. Now, with 10 seconds left on the death timers, this might be a core moment. It might not be. Are they going to go full 30k, or will Wildheart get the actual core all in here? Lunara comes back. Falstad comes back. Still very healthy Dragonite. There's the might. What was that flight? He immediately barrel rolls away into melee range of Dragonite. He wants to gust everyone away, but he's already used it. 30 seconds, 30%, 20%, 10%. Wildheart is going to go for the equalizer. GG. It's 1-1.
No 3-0s today, or at least no 3-0 in this series right now, because that is going to be Wildheart equalizing, as Grubby just said, on Dragonshire. And while it's not the same Dragonshire from 30k yesterday, it seems like Dragonshire might be the Achilles heel for this Titan that is our #1 seed in HeroesCCL. And Wildheart, they are coming in really, like, they're coming in heavy today, Justin. Like, they are looking to just punch people in the face.
Yeah, it feels like Wildheart is really warmed up from game 1. That game they did look a little bit awkward, and this game they looked a lot more cohesive. And it wasn't a straight line to the finish here. It was definitely a bit back and forth where both teams had their moments. Wildheart had a lot of good early game pressure, having the Rhaegar. They on this map it was kind of similar to what we saw Storm do against 30k with the Rhaegar Zarya. They did the same thing with the Rhaegar Sylvanas. And this map almost feels like it's the kryptonite of 30k. I would potentially be looking to ban this map if I'm 30k going forward, just to get it out of there, because this is twice now where, obviously in very different fashion, but this is still twice now where they've lost on this map, and 30k doesn't lose very often. Things were looking a little bit shaky for them through the early game. You had just the amount of pressure that Rhaegar puts out on this map is pretty ridiculous. It's cool to see teams utilizing that to its full potential. You had Sylvanas and Rhaegar kind of just moving around the map, ganking towers and taking camps instead of looking for fights. And the early game was mostly just Bad Benny being completely invincible, and 30k trying to only take fights in chokes. Because if you do take a fight in the choke, like, look at how much value Bad Benny gets here with his Ws. He can literally live inside the entire enemy team with the Brightwing Zs. He's just fine in this choke. But as soon as you fight in a big open space, that's where things are a little bit easier for the side of Wildheart. And I think 30k was pretty aware of that, because they pretty much only allowed Wildheart to get a good, clean fight in a choke. And after around 11 minutes into the game of trying to kill Diablo and realizing that it was impossible, Wildheart here finally makes the pivot and realizes, what if we get the Brightwing Z and then we just dive the backline? But Dino, as always, and especially in this game, had pretty good gusts, with the exception of that one that wasn't so great in the final team fight. But in general, his gusts were really threatening, and Dino was creating a lot of map pressure late game. And once it got to level 16s, level 20s, it was starting to feel like 30k couldn't win a 5v5 anymore, up until the final fight, where there was definitely some miscommunication between Bad Benny on the Diablo and Dino on the Falstad. Again, Wildheart is trying to chase them out of the choke, and Bad Benny's trying to control this choke, but Dino kind of pushes them back out of it, and now they're fighting in a big open space, super disjointed, where Mason Blaze is in a 1v1 against Falstad, and when you're in this big spread out open space, this is really where Wildheart's comp can thrive. They cannot really fight 30k in a choke, so that anti-synergy kind of pushing them out of where 30k wants to fight is all Wildheart needs. They get the 3 for 0, it's late enough in the game, they get the Dragon Knight, and they end the game.
That fight right there, I think you broke it down perfectly, as it was actually just on our screen as well. Because I was like, how did that go so awry? And it literally was just the miscommunication. And maybe I cast a curse them a little bit here, because I was like, man, on his Diablo is so good. But either way, we do equalize in the series, and it is going to be a nice little Springy joining us right before we go to a break. Now, as I said, we are going to be jumping into a break, but in this break, I want you to do 2 things in chat. The first thing is, of course, as always, I want you to hit ! prize pool. Why? Well, we got a little incentive here. Grubby's going to be performing his parody song when we hit 15k. Not if, when, because I know, I believe in you, Here's the Storm community. Along the way, every $1,000 mark, we are going to be teasing or giving away a little bit of the song. So right now, at 13k, we know what, Grubby? Could you break it down really quickly?
I've revealed one of the core lines of the chorus of the song. So I've said that Illidan is... It takes the point of view of Illidan to the tune of You're Welcome from Moana, and the 13,000 fact that I just revealed is, what can I say except you're carried? Which is very much in tune with kind of the feeling we get from those people that still pick Illidan in Storm League. I mean, he was good in 2016, don't get me wrong. Even then, he was part of the highlight reels often where things went awry, but we don't see him as much, and people that pick him generally, well, I'll share more in the song. But if we can reach 14,000, I'll sing the opening verse, the first 4 lines of the song, to give you a taste of what is waiting for you, Heaven's Gates, at 15,000.
We're less than $600 away from that little teaser, so if you'd like to push the prize pool further, ! prize pool to get yourself over to the match arena. The second thing really quickly is we are doing an award show for HeroesCCL Season 3 on January 29th. We already have the nominations already done. If you hit ! awards in chat, you can go over to a Google survey where you can simply just click the button and be like, cool, my voting is done. You don't have to go research stuff. And if you are like, oh man, what is I'm killing all of them? Well, the YouTube link is right there to the timestamp of exactly when it's happening, so you can see all of that good stuff. But as I said, we're going to take a short little break. When we come back, we're going to see who is going to continue to rise in this best of 5 series in our upper bracket. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. How do I get better at this game? How do I get as good as a CCL player?
Just give it up, Baha.
What were you thinking?
Bahamut, you're never gonna win.
The CCL players, they're really good. They're in CCL. So I just need the CCL merch to be as good as the CCL players. Oh man, there's some really cool stuff in here. But I don't have time to wait. I need my wins now. I'm gonna make my own CCL merch. That'll get me the wins that I need. Now that I have my own merch, I can win every single hero. Even with my own amazing homemade merch, I'm still not winning. I have to get the real deal. Oh yeah, this is, oh, gotta get one of these. Gotta get one of these. It is cold outside, so we're gonna get that new season pullover. Oh yeah. Now to purchase my game-winning apparel from HeroesCCL merch. Wow, now that I have this new HeroesCCL apparel, I might as well try out and play some Heroes the Storm games and see if I can maybe win a little few extra. Ooh.
Yes! I'm winning! We're winning!
can win every single game you play in Heroes of the Storm with HeroesCCL Season 3 merch. Wisdom Gaming and HeroesCCL are not responsible for any Storm League points lost or given away to enemies that are better than you. Welcome back to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing and Springy. We still got Springy in the mix right now. And of course, we had a little bit of a break right there. We got to stretch our legs, get a glass of water, and we are ready to go into more HeroesCCL action. We are in the midst of our first best of 5 of the day in the upper bracket for our double elimination bracket, and we're going to be seeing 30k up against HeroesHearth Esports. We just saw HeroesHearth beat 30k on Dragonshire, the Achilles heel, the kryptonite of 30k it seems, and Bad Benny does not look as impervious as I might have oversold during the last map. But speaking of maps, we can actually start diving into where we're going to head for our third map in this first best of 5 of the day. And as I've mentioned, this is going to be our first of 2 best of 5s today. We'll get into a lower bracket best of 5 later on. But right now, we have got the members of 30k choosing map pick as the losing team, and they'll be choosing to take us to Alterac Pass. Of course, as always, if you want some of those stats at home for these 2 teams, the members of 30k sit 2-2. They've played this map 4 times with a 50% win rate. Over on the side of HeroesHearth, they are winless on this map. They've played it twice with 2 losses. As we are about to get into the draft here, Justin, got to get your thoughts on what we could potentially see from Alterac Pass from either of these teams.
This is likely to be an uphill battle for the side of HeroesHearth. 30k has looked better than any team on this map by far, in my opinion. They seem to understand what their windows are and how to play the objectives, and also just how to play around bosses better than anyone on this map. They know when to fight for the objective, and they know when they shouldn't be fighting for the objective, so they find ways to only fight it when they have an advantage already. And this was a map that I had my team ban every game last season, so the former members of my team that are still remaining on HeroesHearth are not maybe quite as confident on this map as they might be on others. So 30k definitely in their element here on Alterac Pass.
Alterac Pass, quite a large map, the mechanic being that you summon your cavalry once you channel the jail for enough time, and you'll get those summoned lanes for movement speed, extra damage, as well as some siege potential to try and start taking down forts and summon those Reavers. But of course, Grubby, as well, got to get your expectations for Alterac Pass draft.
Ban options here are Medivh, Rhaegar, and Stukov. Medivh is what they banned in game number 1. They're thinking about it. They're like, is Medivh Stitches or Medivh Diablo too scary for us? And it's going to be a Zagara ban, leaving all of those options up for grabs. But it must be noted that Rhaegar is the one that won both games so far. Even though game 2 was kind of a turnaround, nonetheless, he is 2-0 today. And it's HeroesHearth that gets to pick him up again. He's got more than 10% better win rate than the second win rate hero in the Nexus in Storm League.
Wow.
So at least in Storm League, this would be astounding for anyone that doesn't watch a lot of competitive HoTS. Tunes in here, they're like, why is Rhaegar getting through the draft?
That's always a question that I ask myself as well in some of our Storm League games. But we, honest to God, we've just adapted. We're like, we either first pick it or we ban it away sort of deal in our own games because it's just way too strong and you just can't let it through. But of course, Justin, we have a couple picks unfolding. Got to get your deep analysis on what we've seen so far.
It's interesting to see Dahaka and Blaze both picked up over Hogger on Alterac. This is one of Hogger's best maps because he has the ability to take the Null pack very easily. But you can tell that both teams are going to be looking to invest in things later in the draft, or in HeroesHearth's case, while having the Rhaegar being able to already take the camp relatively easily, they're going to be looking to pick other things later to be able to take that camp quickly. Anubarak does go through for 30k, which we don't see too often on this map because of how he is able to kind of sneak the objective. That's going to be quite strong. But HeroesHearth just deciding to take both the globals, which should deny a bit of the macro play ability of 30k on this map. There's not going to be as much windows or as many windows to kind of take advantages playing around the objective when there is the double global. It kind of gives you a safety net that if you ever do make a macro mistake, you have the globals to make up for it. And there's just less windows of opportunity for 30k to get advantageous fights on the objective because of the globals.
Right wing coming out as well, so some decent some decent priority onto said globals as you were mentioning, and then a Hanzo as well. So we don't have the full draft of 30k, but we see kind of what's being pieced together. On the side of Wildheart, they are going to grab that Murden and Sylvanas, and that Murden, Tremor played a really, really good Murden. The Stormbolts were really great. He was able to cycle in and out of the team fights, but of course, Grubby, any thoughts as we're getting to the last pick from the side of 30k?
Might be another Bloodlust game coming out. Those heroes can make really good use of it. Though it's not Triple Bruiser, who don't need Ancestral quite as much, might be an Ancestral. A really solid draft. Double Global. Love what Wildheart put together. It looks real strong. And 30k in 30k fashion, once again, going with that Lunara. Bringing in a lot of high win rate picks. Lunara now 2 losses instead of that 9-1 that she was rocking before, as you said, Bahamut. 2 classical drafts by the teams that represent them. I'm looking at it. I think Wildhearts might just be a little stronger and more map appropriate. What do you guys think?
Oh, Justin, please.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think Wildheart's comp is pretty perfect for the map. Muradin being picked up here in the last 2 picks. Tremor did play it extremely well previously. And it's... Honestly, if I was drafting right now, I would have no problem picking a Muradin immediately in the draft. I think that he's so strong and so versatile that he kind of fits any situation. You never really feel like you get hard countered by him. And having the Sylvanas and Falstad to be able to do a lot of auto attack based damage to the Anubarak might make things a little bit difficult for the front line of 30k. Bad Benny's not likely to be as invincible as he has been previously on any tanks he's been playing. Anubarak's a lot squishier when he goes up against this double ranged setup from Wildheart. And they have the better globals too in Falstad and Dahaka. That makes things much easier, just playing the map in general. And I think if Wildheart forces objectives too hard, they might lose, but if they're able to play around the macro game a little bit better with the Sylvanas, with the Falstad, both their ranged have a lot of solo macro pressure, and the double globals, they should be able to win just through better macro with the tools that they've drafted.
Alrighty, well, perfectly said, Justin, because we have loaded on in to Alterac Pass, and we'll see if everything comes to fruition in this map number 3, as we've got 30k in the blue, Liam on the Blaze, Bad Benny on the Anubarak, Hazuabs on the Hanzo, Yasu to play the Brightwing, and Dino on the Lunara. Yes, some little swaps right now on some of those roles, or on some of those heroes. On the right-hand side, we got Wildheart in the red. It's going to be Falstad Falstad played by Zergling, Weary Day on the Rhaegar, Mason Blaze on the Sylvanas, Slug Hunter on the Dahaka, and Tremor on the Muradin. I'm actually leaning into a Wildheart win here, Grubby. Of course, I want to get your thoughts on who you think will win this map, or even just your thoughts on the 2 drafts.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're able to put in a lot of pressure on the side lanes. They've got high quality pick for the map, and they were able to make that draft work on Dragonshire. It would be pretty crazy if Wildheart is off to a 2-point lead here after winning this game, but let's see how it goes.
Definitely plausible or possible, as we have a little bit of a dive from Bad Benny. Facia from the Brightwing will be coming through, and Grubby right there. We're going to be seeing First Blood over to the side of Wildheart. I like it. You're just like, nah, just not even going for it.
We have one more chance. I was wondering what you were going to say again. Like, it could be anything, really. It could be anything. You see what my wife has to put up with. But, Sylvanas and Rhaegar are going to go for that Sapper Camp. Hellbat Camp, the Null Pack. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, it's Bad Benny and Liam, not really the combo you would typically expect going for the Null Pack on the other side. Both delayed a bit because of the Skerfuffle in the top lane. Unusual, unhappy death for Bad Benny there, kind of bro charging in a 2v3 and then getting taken down. I don't think he thought it was going to be that easy for him to go down, and he'll have to play a bit more safe going forward.
And he was just trying to threaten and push back what was being pressed into his top lane, but either way, a little bit too far forward. I say a little too far forward, but he died like in front of his own gate, so it's kind of a little bit of a moot point in a sense. But either way, the mid lane is going to be cleared by the side of Wildheart, and they're going to start pressing the Null Pack in for this Wildheart crew, and Sylvanas immediately locking down the 2 towers. And I love how much pressure Mason Blaze can apply with this Black Arrow.
Gonna go for Rhaegar. That's some big shots coming in. Scatter hitting for about half. There was a jet propulsion. There's poison. That's Rhaegar down. Can there be a return conversion kill from Wildheart? A Dragtown gets interrupted by Polymorph from Yasu. He's on point. Everyone's been peppered with damage. Wildheart runs away. But despite them being blooded, it's not entirely without purpose. In fact, I'd say they got the better end of that deal, despite losing one. They've got the gate down, much of the tower HP down. And remember, mid-gate and mid-towers control whether you're allowed to get the objective on this map, as that is the fallback point of defense when trying to poke away your opponent from trying to free their prisoner of the objective. So I'd say Wildheart is ahead now.
I would be hard-pressed to disagree with you on this, because it's also not only a retreat point, but it's also when that fort falls, your well goes down, and that is a nice little way to kind of buff or sustain yourself or your team during these objective phases. And Brightwing does pulsate with some healing here and there. She's got the phase shift. She can go ahead and use the Soothing Mist, but still, that well is going to be critical. And let's actually go ahead and take a look at a replay here, and Grubby, you can break down what happened in this mid lane.
We can see that you've got that big push in on the tower. It's really just greed. Does Rhaegar know he's about to get hit? It looks like it's just Blaze. In comes suddenly Hazops from the flank, Dino from the top. You've got Falstad flying in, but he got disrupted by Bad Bunny, so there's no turnaround damage. All that, though, was still buying time for that null pack. You see it kept working away at the top left. Meanwhile, in the present, Yasuo gets taken out. Wildheart, 2 kills total now in this game. Bit down in XP. And the null packs are going to be meeting at the gates of Wildheart.
It's just a little fun fact. If you... Oh, wait, hold on. In bottom lane, Weary Day slowing with the Totem Tremor with a Stormbolt. But for anyone that doesn't know, when you're dragging someone as Dahaka, you land that drag onto an enemy hero, you cannot use your burrow until the drag expires. So there was actually like a little bit of burst damage potential from Dino on the Lunara, but because there was the polymorph that came through, Slug Hunter was able to use his burrow to avoid some of that burst ability from Dino. So a little bit of tech right there, and a little bit of information if you are a little foreign to maybe how Dahaka works. Or I've had a couple of those moments where I'm dragging someone, I'm like, I need to burrow, but I'm still dragging, and it's just like, oh no, I've just killed myself in the game, which is unfortunate. But either way, that's not going to be the case here, and our first objective phase is up. 1 second of channel time in favor for the side of Wildheart. 29 seconds left on that that Alliance camp channel time.
Yeah, 1 second. Just like, we've come here to save you. Oh, hold on, I hear something. We gotta go. Stay here. We'll come for you later.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, not taking those prisoners out just yet. Interesting pick by Sylvanas too with that Merc Queen, making those Hellbats do about, 40% more damage. 60% more damage, actually. So valuing up those... that null pack camp. There's another one barreling down for 30k. They've been on point with it. Going to be using that, and first Wildheart will focus on defense, then maybe get their own. There's level 10 pressure coming in as well, and 30k wants more than that. Want to channel their own prison camp. Got Tremor right there to stop Bad Bunny.
So the Black Arrows will lock down the null packs, pretty much staggering or slowing down any sort of potential siege that they could have. Tremor gets bursted down, not really bursted, he gets chunked, and he is going to be able to back away, probably tap well, and be able to also have his trait kicking. But once again, Tremor's going to be dove on. Oh my god! Bloodlust comes through a little bit late. Gust to try and save Rhaegar as the cocoon was utilized. A lot of tools used from the side of Wildheart, and 30k should have the summon. And my expectation is that we are going to be seeing the Sander Stormpike cavalry coming out in these lanes.
Yeah, it looks like 30k will be completing that channel, no problemo. They got that lovely kill on Murden before he could even use Avatar. Layered CC with a great scatter arrow coming into him as well. And Rhaegar not there with the Purification Nova. The Purification... just Gold Purification, right? The cleanse.
Purge. Oh, Purge. The baseline for Rhaegar.
Just Purge. Yep. Just Purge. All right. And he did go for Bloodlust again, but it was to no avail this time. Isolation missed. Slug Hunter does get the Drag Tongue. In comes the Brightwing.
Okay, the fight's going to be here. Bad Benny needs to burrow charge away. Sylvanas is buffing out the null pack as you kind of see that glow around the units, as well as the increased model size from said Mercenary Queen. But that's going to be quickly cleared out through mid, and the Alliance cavalry starts to push into these lanes. As I mentioned yesterday, and for anyone that might have missed it, The Alliance Cavalry, or the cavalries on this map, don't lose health over time like on Tomb of the Spider Queen, those web weavers. What the cavalry does for your team is, as I mentioned, gives you bonus movement speed, but it also increases your damage. I don't know the percent off the top of my head, but still, it is an increased damage percentage, and oh my god, Hazuabs with a massive arrow from downtown gets I think that was like the 2-second stun, but Lunara on the top left, oh my god, saved by the cocoon of Bad Benny. Lunara should have been dead, but a wonderful cocoon to save the day.
Yeah, Tremor was just going for it by himself. Pretty cool. He did miss a thunderclap because he expected someone to keep walking down, but then there was the turnaround. Got that heavy impact. Stormbolt on Lunara. Hanzo dropped low to the fort. As the dust settles, Bahamut, we've got one fort down for 30k. We've got 70% off the bottom fort. Their 3 forts are still standing sentinel, so you're pretty happy with this. You're in a position to either take the null pack or the boss. Wildheart is mindful of this, so you've got Mason Blades on the Savannas, checking carefully. Is there anything going on that boss? And this Zergling, he flies in. They want to make a strong play for it, but under such heavy scrutiny from 30k, that feels like a bit too much, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the respectable walk away from Wildheart. They leash the boss, and Hazuabs, he enters back into the bush, and Tremor's going to double check to make sure that the side of 30k, aren't trying to sneak the boss after the disengage, and neither go for the boss. Hazuabs still checking as well to make sure that there was no double back from the side of Wildheart. And actually, as I look at this, okay, no, the minion wave might have shown Hazuabs stepping in and out of that bush. I'm not 100%
I don't think
sure.
they did. I don't think the minion wave showed it, but the absence of them clearing it forthwith kind of reveals it. And you had Murden looking for it. I feel like Murden didn't actually get vision, or he got false vision, or he decided that it's okay, let's get a kill instead.
Yeah.
That would be super advanced.
I have a feeling that it was one of those things where it's like, hey, we have our null pack, let's just push in mid, and our bottom lane fort, it's going to fall. Let's try and find some sort of trade in that pivotal mid lane, as you were talking about earlier, Grubby, about how important this lane can be. This should be the fort to go down through mid, the fort and bottom to go down to the boss. Right wing going to push that up, but here comes a Bloodlust onto Dino. The arrow narrowly misses a few of these Wildheart members, and now it is Liam who's trying to back away. No bunker available for the Blaze. That was humongous to Wildheart.
Dude, but if Tremor actually either saw the boss or didn't care, but knowing it's happening anyway, and he decided that mid lane is where they make their stand, and he could somehow predict this sequence of events, knowing it's going to be like right wing can't even leave Hanzo because he's got no self-sustain, and this was their decision. So much respect. We gotta ask them about it if Wildheart ends up winning this series. This is so sick. They got so many conversion kills from this. They get the mid keep, one of the hardest keeps to take down. Nullpack is absolutely essential for it. You know, Wildheart decided to upend the status quo and say, we're not just gonna passively send Nullpacks your way. Like it's some kind of Warcraft 3 custom map, Line Tower Wars, we keep sending minions here and not do anything with it. No. They actually came and made this business their main business. They got the mid keep down before even any of the peripheral forts have fallen. That's so unusual. And now, anytime they get a boss and they can actually get a second keep down, we're looking at a potential game-finishing push on core because all that armor is gone.
That is, it's absolutely crazy, the pressure that Wildheart just applied to the map, and I think either they mid-maxed that perfectly or it was just just perfect happenstance of events. I don't know. One way or the other, Wildheart comes out on top. Hanzo's not going to be able to line the arrow up onto Slug Country. Will be able to burrow away. Mason Blaze going to be entering in. Tremor with a big dwarf toss because he did go for the dwarf launch at level 16 for cooldown reduction, synergistic with his level 1 and level 7. While we kind of have this dance around right now, Grubby, you'd mentioned Line Tower Wars, the custom game. What, like, I loved those custom games, but did you have a favorite custom game for Warcraft 3?
Yeah, I liked Uther Party, the little mini games.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was such a tower defense, like any sort of tower defense, or like Winter Mall.
I never played Winter Mall. I hear a lot of good things about it. I like Green TD, Element TD.
Yeah, that was like all of like. I was like when I was 16, I just played so much of those custom games. But anyway, sorry. Let's get back into Heroes of the Storm. Just reminiscing of some of those wonderful Warcraft 3 custom maps. But 16's up on both sides. We have another objective phase up and available. It's the second one. We know this because there's 40 seconds of channel time necessary As always, the first is 30, second is 40, third and onward is 50 seconds of channel time, as the boss in top lane will be taken by HoTS and Yasuo. We do have 2 minutes on the boss for bottom, and while all that's happening, the channel for the objective still continues. We could see the cavalry summoned by the Drekthar Hordish side.
Nice job getting that second boss. Let's see. Towers are still up. Oh, arrow coming in. Passing like in Ship in the Night once again. As WildHearth tries to defend here. There comes in the Bloodlust. They're going to try to make a play for Anubarak. He dodges the silence. Cocoon on Dahaka coming in here. Rhaegar dropping real low, but he's got a bit of that lifesteal, a bit of that movement speed. And he's got that 6% lifesteal as well at level 16. Great rebuttal by WildHearth there, staying alive throughout all this. Slug Hunter, does he still have a burrow?
I don't know. He's really low on utility because he missed a drag after using a burrow a few seconds after the objective phase got summoned. So the boss in top lane pushing onto a keep, Falstad clearing through mid, the cavalry arriving for the side of WildHearth, but they lose their Dahaka. And I'm going to quickly check. He does have Brushstock when he comes back from death, but what will he be able to do with this? It kind of feels like the objective phase is, well, moot.
Yeah. There's a really nice push coming in here by 30k. That boss took about a bit of health off that top keep. Yeah, it's completely moot, this objective phase. We've got one more raider maybe doing damage to the top fort if 30k doesn't go there. The Haka, let's see, he does have Brushstalker available, so WildHearth is playing as if he's already here. 3 people on the chase, maybe trying to add a little bit of extra power to that raider Bahamut.
I think this is exactly what WildHearth needs to do. Just apply some pressure into this top lane. Try and do something with this. Muradin Dwarf tosses forward, doesn't land the Stormbolt. Bad Benny gets chunked, but that is a huge arrow from Hanzo, who leaps over the wall, gets a fantastic scatter into the face of Rhaegar. He's going to go down. Tremor, who popped Avatar, tries to get away. He needs his trait to kick in. Dino blindly chasing in because you can see that isolation on his head. And Tremor, he's going to land the Stormbolt. He's trying to get Bronzebeard Rage value, that level 13. He doesn't get the healing he wants. Slug Hunter able to burrow away, and WildHearth are going to really be shut down through this objective, before the objective, and after it.
I think Ludara immediately got cleansed, so he wasn't silenced. Do you know if that removes the blind as well, like the vision reduction?
I don't know, honestly.
Maybe not, because when you read cleanse, any kind of cleanse, Mason Blaze goes down. I don't think it says remove any blinding effects from Morganas and Dahaka, so I think that probably stays. He had a cool little mask on from Dahaka's effect. But getting another kill there on Sylvanas is huge. It means that the wave clear required to clear this is missing. Although WildHearth had some extremely inspired moments, the double boss loss, the objective loss, the team fights turning against them, it's making it difficult for them right here. Midkeep is going down a lot. They haven't made any progress on the top and the bottom fort yet, and now with Sylvanas dead and another boss coming, it's looking tough for them. 30k, looking to maybe make good on their reputation on this map again, trying to make it a 2-1 for them.
They have the third boss. Like, it's actually kind of crazy to me. And just looking through some of these stats as well, Falstad with 69 stacks on his Gathering Storm. We got 6 out of 10 for the Dahaka Enhanced Agility. Muradin baseline, well, that baseline is achieved when he hits level 10. Hanzo has finished his stacks a long time ago, and that's all the kind of stacks I can kind of keep you up to date on, as we do have our third objective phase up and available. And this is going to be Hazoab's Dino defending against the Jailers, and we could see another Alliance Cavalry summoned. Bottom lane keeps already gone down. Mid lane is low. Top lane sitting at, what, 80% or so HP? This is looking good for 30k, but it's not over just yet. A flubbed fight could yield a win for the side of WildHearth, but it's still an uphill battle on Alterac Pass.
Top boss available again in 50 seconds from now. And like you said, 30k's been spamming them like their null pack camps on cooldown. Bottom boss, top boss, bottom boss. Top boss is next in line once again.
Yeah.
WildHearth gets their own null pack. They're down to 2 keeps. Any team fight could win the game. There's an isolation hitting only Anubarak. He gets cleansed, gets a massive burrow charge. In comes an arrow. Dahaka blocks it, but Rhaegar still goes down.
Rhaegar the one to fall in the engagement, even with the 20 talent tier upgrade on to Bloodlust, and we go back to the camp for the side of 30k. They should be able to channel this. And I remember, I'm actually thinking back to the interview we had with Hazoabs yesterday, and we were talking about Alterac Pass, and we were talking about his Hanzo play, and even in the interview, Hazoabs was saying, the 3 talents, and he said specifically the level 4 for Hanzo is necessary on a map like this to just constantly get boss in camps, and I think we're seeing great examples of this. Also, that piercing arrow is huge, but here comes a dive onto Tremor Cocoon. Will be mitigated by the Will the Forsaken of Sylvanas. Really good read from Mason Blaze. That is that's to use GDQ terms, because I've just been watching so much of it, that was frame perfect per se from Mason Blaze, just to be able to pop that and mitigate the incoming Cocoon.
Yeah, very nice job blocking that and shrugging it off so he doesn't get eaten up like a little saved meal for later. But as it stands, 30k still gets the objective. He had to play that whole thing without Rhaegar. He did die to the Null Pack before in that big melee. Now, can Wildheart survive here? Let's theorize that they do. Even if they get 4 kills and lose 1, normally 4v1, maybe you can end the game, but not on this map. Top fort, bottom fort. Like, it's a super comfortable situation for 30k where, in theory, they could all die to kill 2 keeps and they would be fine. I don't think they would lose the game.
I don't think that's what 30k wants to do. They want to go ahead and chain CC Tremor, who does get the cleanse right at the end of that, actually. So it's a 45-second cooldown for Rhaegar. And, oh yeah, he didn't go Pit Fighter, so there's no cooldown reduction from Pit Fighter level 20. But double keep goes down. All 3 keeps have fallen. Hanzo rips another giant arrow. Here comes a massive burrow charge in from Bad Benny. The wind tunnel to force back the enemy side. Bad Benny taking a lot of damage. He gets the phase shift from the Brightwing. Pops the rewind. Immediately trying to get the chain CC, but Bad Benny will fall. The Cocoon does connect onto the Rhaegar as the retreat is called by 30k. Hazuabs getting the agility over the wall. I keep wanting to say, like, I want to say Hanzuabs constantly. No, wait,
he's not just running to save his team. The same thing. The same thing.
That happened yesterday. That literally, that was the exact, that was like the exact same ending.
Yeah, deja vu. I've been in this place before. Like a 5% general with like 5 minions ending bot while the team doesn't directly go to it to defend is exactly what happened. Now, even if they hadn't chased 30k, they would still have had 30k turning around, realizing how low it was, and then finishing the core. So let's call it what it is. It was a GG, and there was no way to save it anymore from that point. Just too much power from those raiders coming in.
And 30k will take that map with the help of Sandar Vornpike, and we got the illustrious Justing back in the mix to start breaking things down. That is Alterac Pass.
That was a really back and forth game overall. Both teams kind of flexing their macro capabilities. 30k doing sort of what they're becoming known for on this map in prioritizing the bosses super heavily. Not so much the objectives, but just the way that they get value with the bosses on this map and the way that they are able to take them with such a small amount of resources just always gets them advantages. And this game was no different. In the very early game, it looked like Wildheart was getting a pretty good lead, just getting picks across the board with the Muradin, played by Tremor. But once again, 30k does what 30k does on this map, and they managed to get an advantage right before the first objective. They somehow managed to get level 10 first, even though they don't have those globals, and their lane setup was a little bit worse. They managed to hit level 10 just barely in time to be able to get the pick onto Muradin right away, which at that just snowballs that fight. That fight's basically over once you get that one pick onto the Muradin. So they get the first objective somehow, even though it looked like they were behind up until that point. Wildheart had a really nice play, a nice comeback afterwards though, where 30k tried to do what 30k typically does with the boss. They do the 2-man boss, and Wildheart reads that, and they do a push of their own mid. That was a really nice kind of counter play for them. They get the pick on mid. To be fair, Muradin, or Anubarak, played by Bad Benny, just shouldn't be in a position where he can get picked. They should know that their resources are kind of split on the map, but a good punish by Wildheart there to be able to just push through mid, dive mid, get 2 more picks, and get the entire keep. So it looked in the early mid game like Wildheart was going to be kind of ahead at that point. But 30k gets the more boss sneaks like they do. They made the next objective completely nullified. They traded the boss for the second objective. So they allow Wildheart to get the objective, but they're getting the boss, and then they also get the pick onto Dahaka, so they can just clear for free. 30k just has such a good understanding of the way that the boss and the objective works on this map, and how to play around it, and what their windows are. They take these very, very small windows that are extremely time sensitive, and they make things work within that time so that they have an advantage. This is that advantageous fight I was talking about, where they immediately get the pick onto Muradin, and that's just their go button. At this point, they know that they've already essentially won the objective. and Wildheart tries their best to fight back. The ending was, I kind of was watching the minimap, sort of seeing this might be coming. Wildheart not understanding the core mechanic quite enough. While they did clear the mid and top objective, they got a little bit too tangled up in that top fight, where they were getting pretty hyphy, trying to get kills to, you know, potentially have a chance to end the game for themselves. And unfortunately, one full HP horse thing, I forgot what they're called, cavalry, one full HP cavalry comes in through bot lane, and that is enough to 1v1 the core that late into the game when there is no armor with all the keeps down. So just really well played by 30K, being able to win on a macro front, even when in draft their comp should be worse at macro. So just kind of flexing their understanding of the map and playing the map, again, nearly perfectly, with the exception of that one counterplay mid by Wildheart.
I've really got to say it was such a strong play from 30K. I wasn't counting 30K out, but that early game looked great for Wildheart. But it was just after, you know, I should have, as I was making my prediction, because I actually crossed off 30K and rewrote Wildheart, because I was like, oh yeah, I think Wildheart can definitely do this. But gotta give respect where it's due. Hanzuabs, I keep wanting to do it today. Hazuabs, once again, he may have not landed every single giant arrow like we kind of had in the interview yesterday we were talking about, but like the critical ones towards the end of the game, those were just so perfectly played. And I gotta give credit to Dino. We never see him on Lunara. I feel like it's always a Hazuab's hero, and Dino really performed and blew away my expectations on that Lunara. So overall, strong plays from both teams, but it is going to be 30K who are in the advantage slot in this best of 5 series. We are in the upper bracket of our double elimination bracket. So if Wildheart loses, they're going to drop down into the lower bracket, but they're not out of HeroesCCL Season 3. They still have to go up against the winner of our matchup later today of Simplicity versus Storm Esports, and that one is actually going to drop a team into 4th place, and then the winner of that will go on to, well, versus the loser of this matchup. But still, it is a great day of games. It's exciting. We have a lot of great maps to choose from, and I think we might be able to find out where we're going to head to quite soon for our map number 4. It could be the closing map in this series, and I know 30K, they want to shut things down kind of quickly like they did yesterday in a 3-1, but I don't know if it's possible. Maybe let's look at the map and we can elaborate further on if 30K can actually take this, because we have Wildheart choosing to take us to Infernal Shrines. Wildheart was the losing team, so they have first pick or map pick priority. So Wildheart has something they want to do specific on Infernal Shrines. And as anyone who's wondering stat-wise, 30K, they have a 50% win rate on this map. They have 1 win, 1 loss. The side of Wildheart, they are going to have a record of 1-0. So they get just 1 win on this map. And as we are getting into this, Grubby, I want to get your thoughts on, or maybe even just your expectations getting into this draft for either team.
It's funny how such a classical map like Infernal can only see 3 games between the two teams that are here in the top 4, when they really have played 7 best of 5 round robin games, so you would expect more. So relatively little information for both teams here. I'm thinking back a long time ago when Hazuops was part of a team on Infernal Shrines, and they first pioneered the Diablo Lunara meta. He was on Team Liquid, and we didn't see a lot of Lunara, and it was just AoE damage to go around for the whole team. Diablo obviously has got a lot of walls to work with on the objective. Lunara had that extra damage coming in from the backline. That was their combo, Diablo, Lunara, every time. It was so good. And now full circle, we're there again. Might just see some kind of standard draft coming out of 30K. I think they've moved away from trying to force an Abathur or a Vikings at least once per series.
Well, Justin, Diablo's available, Rhaegar's available, Stukov's available. Funny enough, actually, I was doing stats last night, and like we have not seen much Stukov in our double elimination bracket. It's like the Rhaegar and like Anduin Deckard Cain show, sorta.
Yeah, it's really weird. We saw that earlier, that they were prioritizing the Anduin over the Stukov. I can't help but feel like that might be a mistake. Just Stukov is so strong, and he enables double support. There's a lot of things that you can do with him. You can even play Stukov essentially as like a main tank with a level 1 talent where you have the active. So he's a really just well-rounded support, so it is surprising to see him not prioritized when he is available. Wildheart showing their cards slightly early here with the Blaze Vala. They've already kind of committed to playing this defend, protect the Vala composition. The expectation is that they can look to go into either that Stukov or that Anduin later on in the draft. Diablo, once again, picked up by Bad Benny. They have the potential for the Hanzo arrow into APOC combo, and this is one of Diablo's, if not Diablo's, best map. Just being able to play on the Shrine really caters to everything Diablo likes to do.
I do like the respect onto the Dino Tracer after that first game. I mean, I'll be honest, like 30k made Garrosh look so burstable, which is surprising because Garrosh is a very tanky tank with his trait of the physical armor as he drops low in HP. But of course, Grubby, I want to get your thoughts as well because we're just about to get into our last ban and we're going to get into the latter half of the draft. And I wonder if this is a signifier for double support or if it's just, hey, we don't want to play against Mephisto on probably one of his best maps as well.
It very well could be either one of those, Bahamut. Great that you put that out there because Rehgar Uther could be fantastic together. Rehgar Stukov could be really nice together. Get that bloodlusted super big arm from Stukov, delivering some quality slaps. And it is going to be Stitches. The two major synergies for him have been removed, Medivh and Junkrat. What synergies have we got? We've got the Roots, we've got from Anduin, we've got a stun from Vala, stun from Blaze. There is plenty of synergy. I'm liking what Wildheart has so far. How's 30k going to solve it? Are they going to go for a second support? No, they're not. They're just thinking like, hey, Mephisto's pretty darn good on this map in general. It's one of his best maps, Infernal Shrines.
I do really like the Sylvanas for more push potential with the Punisher, as well as Dahaka for enhanced agility to be able to double soak during either the push phase or even during the objective phase, then brush stock up. But of course, Justing, we're going to get one more pick from the side of Wildheart, and I want to get your thoughts on both drafts and how things could go here on Infernal Shrines for either of these teams.
So 30k has a very standard comp. They don't necessarily have anything that caters especially to the Shrine. They have a lot of just more of the normal 30k style of stuff. We have the Rehgar, always strong. I'm expecting the Totem build this game on the Shrine. Last game we saw Weirday go for the Wolf Run build, and it was really aggressive, but it didn't feel like it maybe had the same amount of value that the Totem build has been getting with the attack speed slow and the spell power reduction. So I'm expecting we'll see that here, especially when the focus is so much on Vala doing the majority of the damage for Wildheart. Being able to kind of slow that down is really nice. The Haka doesn't perform on the Shrine quite as well as most solo laners do. Blaze should have a lot more pressure on the Shrine. He can cut off chokes with the oil where you're just not allowed to walk through it. He can hit a big stun if teams do funnel in through that choke, which should be good for the side of Wildheart. Vala comps are a little bit more difficult to play on Shrines though because of those chokes. If you want to step up to really pressure anyone on the Shrine, you kind of need a couple members to funnel into the choke. But the big thing for Wildheart here is going to be the Stitches Falstad. They have the Gorge into Anduin pull combo, which could be quite good, and Tremor's always been very scary on the Stitches, but there are a lot of little Shrine monsters that are going to be getting in the way, so Tremor's going to have to be threading the needle if he wants to win this game, because if he's not hitting hooks, Bad Benny should be able to carry the game with a fairly tanky Diablo here.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Justin, for the analysis as always, because we're loaded on in. We're ready to go into Infernal Shrines. We'll see you after this map to break things down a little bit further. But of course, let's break down who's on what hero, as we've got 30k in the blue, looking to close out the series in a 3-1. Yasu on the Rehgar, Hazuabs on the Hanzo, Bad Benny to play the Diablo, Dino on Sylvanas, and Liam on the Dahaka. Over in the red, we are looking at Wildheart looking to take us to a map number 5 in this first best of 5 of the day. Slug Hunter on the Blaze, Zergling on the Falstead, Weary Day on the Anduin, Vala to be played by Mason Blaze, and Tremor on the Stitches. I have a feeling that the members of 30k know exactly what they want to do here, Grubby, up against this Stitches composition. They know exactly how they want to counter it. They got a lot of mobility between Diablo pushing people around, Hanzo agility, Sylvanas haunting wave, Rehgar can jump into wolf form. Dahaka might suffer here and there, but he's also got the burrow, so I'm leaning into a 30k win. I'd love a map 5, but I feel like 30k can do it. What are your thoughts on these two drafts and the expectations for Infernal Shrines?
For the purpose of having a 2-2, I'm just going to go with some wishful thinking and say Wildheart will get this W.
Okay.
And I've also been thinking like, hey, would it be fun to join like a super early comps to see what's happening with 30k right here at the first minute?
I'll get in right now. Let's go to 30k.
That's the all
after?
She was
They have hook.
fight
They have
those.
hook up. They have hook up. They don't have hook up.
I have Burrow, I can maybe look to invade. Blaze has a prio though.
Any campers?
I'm getting there, wait. You move.
They're on it now, do we want to do it or no?
Wait, we need to have Rehgar, he's dying. This is
Doesn't Blaze have
we
prio?
don't,
I'm
yeah,
dead,
but
I'm
it's
dead.
fine. We just chill, it's fine.
They're mid again, first. A Hanzo bot.
Does he have pole still? Do we know?
Blaze is mid. He
I'm
does.
getting the first head from Ender.
They
Care
are
bottom
close to
soon, care
bot
bottom
side,
soon.
Yeah.
but they
We can push. We can.
They're showing
can,
two mid.
can you control Blaze? I wanna
Yes,
push
yes,
top.
yes. He's already watching. He went safe boy.
I mean, then we can. Like, I will have Pride. We can play for bot camp then. Now.
Maybe. Yeah, I think we can.
I see 3 people here still.
Just start it.
Can we do bottom
Yeah.
camp?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
look at that.
Maybe I get her. Yeah.
Stitches
Oh yeah, can you
bot.
QE?
Yeah, I think I get her.
Pull. It's good. Pull.
Nice.
Two
We're
bots,
running
dig
bot now.
bot. Do we
I
take
can
this?
I have it. Yeah, I dig. I don't
you
want to
run
drop
top?
top wave, but
Biting is
Yeah,
us.
I can
we
go
get
top.
Let's finish camp.
I'm out of
first.
vision, billions.
Did they hook or not?
no.
I
don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe
I have,
we
I
was
need
in
mid.
trouble.
Yeah, it's okay. No pull for a while. I hit this guy.
Yes. No, we're not there.
Okay.
We leave the hook.
What a fantastic call, Grubby. It's a lot of information, but I think that's the cool thing about the early game comms is you hear, like, do they have pull? Did they use hook? Let's get camp. Rhaegar's like, a lot of information to kind of absorb right there, and it was just really cool to hear how they're kind of playing the early game and setting up for this future objective phase.
Yeah, a lot of communication. You know, by this time, I've barely mentally got into the game in Storm League yet, usually.
Same.
There's like a couple of people that died, and you're starting to sit up straight in your chair, like, all right. But they've come to play, obviously.
Yeah.
Intense from the start, calling out cooldowns. Thinking about invades.
Yeah.
So early in the game, covering for solo lanes of the Hakas that burrow in. Love to hear it. 30k has come to play.
30k with some aggression as we have our first objective phase up and ready to go. It's triggered by Hanzo and Rhaegar. It's going to be a Mortar Punisher, and that is going to be pressing into top lane. Mortar Punisher, not the strongest, does brawl quite well, but the big things are those Frozen Punishers. Those are the big ones that siege super well. Arcane Punishers are always really fun to dive underneath towers and try and find that extra bit of damage because they have those spinny sort of laser beams, if you will, on the ground. As the hook comes out from Tremor not connecting, it's going to be a 16-second cooldown for the Stitches, and I'll keep an eye on that cooldown throughout the game to see if he can make these hook plays. Gorge not available. Well, there's no 10 talents here just yet, but with a slight experience advantage, we actually... Oh, no, equalization.
Whoa.
Dino. Oh, my God. Wildheart. They're going to go on in, Grubby, and that is going to be first blood to the side of Wildheart as they get the pull onto Slug Hunter. He doesn't die. I can't believe how Wildheart just played that.
Yeah, really sick. I'd love to see it again if we get a chance. Slug Hunter got the massive stun in with the damage follow-up. Wildheart again has that first kill. They had that Stitches competition on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and completely against my expectations, got the first kill of the game when I'm always thinking Stitches gets the kills later in the game. Level 10, level 13, level 20. But off to a great start they are, and of course Blaze instrumental, being another tank. You don't want to have Stitches solo tank with triple backline, albeit that used to be the way that Dignitas used to play it, but you would have backline that had CC, usually a Kael'thas, maybe a polymorphing Brightwing. But these days you want to have a second frontliner that can do the tank job, and Blaze can definitely do that. Drive Tongue into Stitches, he gets overpowered, Shadow Charge. He actually is taking keep shots, because when he turns on his little fart cloud, that's going to do damage into heroes. That triggers the fort to retarget on him and then drops his armor. That penny drops real low. The Immortal is looking at him. The Punisher is looking at him as well, which is actually in this game. Immortal just a spectator. And it didn't have a jump available just yet. Defense is successful, but half-life off the fort.
And with that kill, we do see a little experience going over to the side of Wildheart, and we also have this top lane trying to equalize. But while they equalize in top lane, let's go ahead and take a look at that early kill.
Look at that. Look at the Slug Hunter there. He's on the shrine. He's thinking like, okay, skeletons, skeletons, skeletons. In comes a bit of a skerfuffle between Tremor and stuff. Slug Hunter instantly stops skeletons, comes out of the vision, straight into a massive triple propulsion stun. Zergling and Mason Blaze are unloading all hell upon them. So Slug Hunter could have just said, I'm just going to keep doing skeletons, you guys are fine. But always going for that min-max, reducing losses on your own side, joining the fight, very important in Heroes of the Storm. And then maximizing losses on the enemy side as well. It's always tempting to be like, let's just keep getting the skeletons, we're getting near. But this was the right call, and he hit a big one.
What Is there something in the water, Grubby? Because it is Bloodlust City this weekend when it comes to Rhaegars. There is, like, yesterday we got a couple of those Ancestrals with some Farseer's Blessing from BBJ, but, like, there's a Gorge onto Diablo. Light Bomb right afterwards. Oh, my God.
Nasty.
Goodbye, souls.
Yeah, that was absolutely nasty. A bit of overlap there in the stuns. Mason Blaze's Rain of Vengeance was a little early. Maybe he was worried whether Light Bomb would be perfectly synced. Didn't want to allow Diablo to use his Shadow Charge to push Stitches back into the left side and maybe have some kind of an escape. But that was a cool combo. Relatively short cooldown, Bahamut. But 60, 70 seconds max for all of those together. So they can do that every minute. Cool combo. Leap of Faith Gorge Abduct. Truly terrifying. And that was Stitches just melee gorging. That wasn't even off of a hook. So very easy to reproduce.
We also do see at level 7 Rhaegar going into the Purification, which is the upgrade for Purge. The big thing to know with this is that you get 40% cooldown on that 45-second cooldown so long as you actually purge a slow, stun, root, or silence effect on an ally. So I think the game plan is to try and utilize that as much as possible whenever those Hook Gorge moments come out. But here comes a Bloodlust. There's a Wailing Arrow. There's also an arrow from Hazuab's. Weary Day the target. Light Bomb comes out. It won't trigger because he dies. Zergling goes in for a big flight gust into the flank, but it is going to be a sacrificial play in a sense. Slug Hunter goes in for the Jet Propulsion. Rhaegar, do you have a totem to slow him down? No. What they're going to do instead is they're going to retarget. They're going to go for this bottom lane fort, and the objective phase is going to be soon through bottom lane. Arcane Punisher, as you can hover your cursor over the minimap. Right now it doesn't show it's Arcane, but if you use your cursor in-game, ladies and gentlemen, you can see it'll say inactive Arcane Punisher. Now that it's actually procced, you can see that it's Arcane because the purple gem. But those are little things that you can take in your own games, much like how you can also hover over camps with your cursor and it will tell you the cooldown. It's simple things like this. The minimap, it's free DLC.
It's simple things like that and CCL merge that has helped Bahamut win many games recently.
Why do you think Justin is Grandmaster? Yeah, Justin he literally said at the start of broadcast, I got back into Grandmaster, and I was like, you're welcome. So
yeah, you were like, how did you do that? You're welcome. And he's like, it's those camp timers, just hovering over.
Easy.
Gets all the dubs. Jet Propulsion into Blaze. There's a hook. No Gorge. Decided the Haka's not worth it. There's 34 skeletons, so if they abducted him, they would definitely lose the objective. Bad Benny's looking at Blaze, looking at Mason Blaze. Doesn't have that vision yet. Now he goes in, Shadow Charge on Mason Blaze. Nice cleanse by Anduin with the pullback. Isolation on Stitches. He gets a Light Bomb. There's a turnaround. Nice dodge by Liam on the Rain of Vengeance. Tremors dropping real low. Bad Benny wants to find blood, but the Gust stops him. Weary Day gets stunned by the Punisher. Oh, that's lights out for Weary Day. Nice combos here by 30k.
Yeah, that's going to be Anduin falling just like his father, and the Team Liquid spray on the ground. And so let's see, we're 9 minutes into the game. Punisher is still fairly healthy. Anduin Stitch is dead for the next 16 to 20 seconds, and I think Keep Front Gate is a guarantee. Do they step forward to go for some keep damage, or do they back away? And it's going to be the safe call from 30k to let the Punisher get 25% damage onto the keep. And this will be a back away to grab some camps. Liam already back into top lane to continue to soak.
Yeah, just pulling back safely. I like to see that. Keep damage is nice, of course, but it's better to get 2 towers of a mid fort than to get 20% off of a keep. That's what 30k is doing. It's much safer here. Slug Hunter tries to get away, but there was a Diablo in his way. And yikes, like he bumped right into that. The angling, not quite right. Hook misses on Diablo. Of course, he felt that one coming and he did a bit of sidestep into that bush there. Wildheart goes from getting 2 early kills, not bad, into suddenly getting wiped 6 kills in a row. And they look a little shakier. I mean, remember that Falstad accidentally flying into the wrong team. He checks the color of his coat and he's like, oh, no. We're the Reds this game. And Wildheart, they need to somehow rally back. I don't know what rattled them or if it's a draft thing or if it's a confidence thing, but 30k is crushing them at the moment.
I think you have a really, really good note with this, and it might be the fact that WildHearth, they've been dominant, they've been great with these Stitches drafts, and hold on, let me hold that thought. There's the Gorge, Jet Propulsion, Arrow from Hanzo, huge Apocalypse to play on top of all this. Isolation will go out as well.
Wow.
Wailing Arrow, it's a double kill for Sylvanas, and Dino is able to back away with a couple hundred HP. Hanzo chasing onto Blaze, Slug Hunter, the 1v1. Hanzo didn't go into the increased auto attack damage, or the burst ability you can actually take with the level 16. I'm blanking on the name of the upgrade for the level 16, but with the build
Flawless
that he
technique?
actually... Flawless Technique, yes. I actually love going Flawless Technique at level 16 because when you go into this target practice, explosive aerial, dragon hungers, at level 16 you deal so much damage so long as you land 1 Q, and I expect Hazuabs to be able to do that. But still, a raw kill onto a Falstad where, honestly, I was looking at talents, I look up and Falstad's dead, so it must have just been a slight mispositioning from Zergling, but another hook goes out, and Diablo wiggles his way past it. Next Punisher, frozen for the top lane, is Dahaka, and friends look to take down Fort. The map is unfolding in favor of 30k.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it was a bit more of a slight misposition. It was Falstad thinking he can poke out against 3 people, getting an early start and clearing the remainder of the minions slash mercs, and that many just wrapped all the way around. I want to have you guys see again, as we have a replay prepared, how 30k unravels this combo of Stitches up Dark. Look at this. There's the hook, there's the Gorge. It's like, okay, we're going to pull him back. This is our combo. Arrow, Apocalypse, perfect. In comes Liam. He gets an isolation on the healer there. And Sylvanas weaves through everyone. Gets 3 stacks on every single person. Banshee's Curse. And gets massive damage. Lifts the tail to tail as well. Really, really sick response. Immediate Arrow Apocalypse combo. And then the Haka there to come in with that quality isolation as well.
Also to note, look at the level 16 for Sylvanas. She did not go Will the Forsaken. She went Evasive Fire, which gives you movement speed up to 30%.
Oh, yeah.
Which is because I was looking at the replay, I was like, oh wait, hold on, there's a Gorge I just heard, there's an Apocalypse as well, Leap of Faith will come out. It's all on to Liam, but he has the Lurker Strain, he has the Tunneling Claws, and he is able to zoom away as Falstad throws a few hammerings out. Only 25 stacks on this Falstad hammering, which means that he actually doesn't have that jump in damage. When you hit 30, you get a free 15%, taking you to 30%, but let's hold that thought, because an arrow comes out from Hanzo. Once again, Bloodlust will be utilized, Rain of Vengeance mitigated by the Burrow, and Slug Hunter, he's isolated because he popped the bunker. Now Diablo goes in onto Weary Day. Light Bomb will be used, it won't trigger. It's a double kill again, 11-2 in kills. Bottom lane has the Impaler camp pushing onto a keep, and Zergling is forced to fly down there. Liam, Hazuabs should be able to get this objective. I don't know if it's game ending unless the members of 30k find a couple more kills in this push through top.
Dude, Bad Benny on Diablo is so good. He's so good at those angles and getting those quality combos. Still running a build that not a lot of people do anymore. Malevolence with the Shadow Charge overpowered domination build. Love to see it. And he's getting the results, man. There we go. Shadow Charge overpowered. Shadow Charge again. In comes with the Blink Sylvanas. It's a haunting wave before the gust comes out, and he's able to completely bypass it. It offers a cleanse as well, so not only does he remove the isolation, the displacement that gust does, but also the slow lingering effect. Finishes off the Falstad. Very clean kill there. Zergling's been getting picked a bit here and there. Not the tankiest of ranged assassins. And they know how he thinks. I think that's the real key here. They know he's going to be defending those peripherals. They saw him fly bot. And they instantly made a choice to wait for him as he greedily pushes out one more wave.
Keep mid lane, Keep Front Gate goes down, but that's going to be the Hell Gate forward. Diablo goes in. There's a lot of damage onto Weary Day. There's a Wailing Arrow as well onto Mason Blaze, who just backs away to the Hall of Storms. Slug Hunter goes back in with the Jet Propulsion, and he gets into his bunker, but will this be the death of him? Yes, it will, because that's a drag from Liam to connect. That'll get the kill into Blaze. Anduin dead for 36 seconds. Blaze dead for 44. Mason Blaze able to back away. The mid lane keep shall fall. It's going to be 2 keeps to go down. Punisher very low, but it's 30k to step forward towards core. Can they end?
Well, I think they can. They've got 2 keeps down. The third one is not too high. Another combo comes in here. That's a double Apocalypse hit. Another Shadow Charge comes in. Stitches goes down. 30k. They look so on point this game, dude. They've got more kills than there were minutes in the game. This is so sick. 30k with the 3-1 victory over WildHearth. And what a beatdown. I mean, WildHearth are good, but 30k just looked absolutely devastatingly dominant.
I have to say, apart from the second map, Dragonshire, 30k played extremely well today. I don't want to take away from Wildheart, though, because they did have a lot of shining moments, though this Infernal Shrines game, it felt all 30k from start to finish. And we got Justin back in here to maybe break it down a little bit further, where things went right, where things went wrong, and everything in between.
So the early game actually went fairly well for Wildheart. This was a weird situation where the Stitches comp actually performed better in the early game than the late game, and that pretty much never happens. You're almost always just playing for that level 13 power spike. And so the early game was actually going fairly well for Wildheart, but things really fell apart after the bot dive by 30k. They get a 2-man dive onto the Stitches and the Anduin and just delete them both. And you could tell that they were kind of falling apart mentally and getting nervous on the side of Wildheart at that point, because Falstad flies in kind of weirdly into the entire enemy team trying to save his teammates, but they're already dead, and it turns into a 3-for-0. They get the bot fort, and something that is a little bit interesting, I'm not sure if 30k intended to do this, but since they got the bot fort, they then get a lead on the objective, which is also bottom. The fact that Wildheart even fought for that is pretty much just a mistake on paper. The enemy team has the fort. There's really they have an advantage in Shrine. There's really no reason to fight for that other than just desperation. And they do go for that fight, and I almost wonder if 30k used that bottom shrine as almost a bait, because it sort of looked that way. They're in a huge advantageous situation. It almost looked as if they kind of feigned weakness a little bit on that bot shrine, just so that Wildheart would come to contest it, and then that's where they end up getting the objective there. They win the fight. It's just 30k just does seem to be playing on a different level from pretty much every other team right now. They look just ridiculous. They had an answer always. This was the bot dive I was mentioning with the Falstad fly that was a little late, where he kind of maybe wishes that he hadn't flown in there. But it's when Wildheart is playing together as a 5, they do really well. But when they're split up like this, it seems like everything just falls apart. And 30k plays well whether they're split or whether they're grouped. There doesn't seem to be any apparent weaknesses in 30k's play. This was the shrine I was discussing where 30k might have been using this as essentially a bait, making it feel like Wildheart had a chance to get it, but it might have actually been a big mind game by 30k. And pretty much just from start to finish, 30k just looks insane. In almost every game we see, Dragonshire is the only map where it looks like they're a little bit shaky, and that makes sense because Dragonshire is the one map that plays very differently from all the others in how it's a bunch of little skirmishes. This was just a ridiculous play.
Oh,
very
disgusting.
Unfortunately assisting Haswabs with his insane arrow. And yeah, 30k is just insane.
30k playing on a different level, and we actually have Bad Benny on the line to start asking him a few questions. And Bad Benny, congratulations on your victory. You have punched your ticket to the grand finals. How are you feeling?
I mean, it feels very good. Like, I played with Diamond Hands last season and we finished last place actually. Still was a fun run, but I mean, I'm obviously thrilled being second place at least now. And I'm very happy playing with my teammates as well, because it's very fun playing with them, and they're all very good at the game and they understand what they need to do, so I don't need to explain too much. So it's very a good feeling.
We jumped in those comms early for that last game. We could just hear so much information being conveyed from almost every single member of 30k. So it was just great to listen to you all. And you played fantastic today. And I'm not going to hoard all the questions because, of course, Justin, I'm sure you've got a burning question for Bad Benny.
Yeah, so I've noticed that you go a very different Diablo build from most players. What is the reason for that? What does the aggressive Diablo build do that the other builds don't?
I think it just depends on what the enemy draft is, whether you want the W build Lightning Breath or not. Like, how will you play the fights? What are you looking for? With this build, I am more pick oriented, and like I put way more pressure on people in rotations and like if they get wall stunned. Whereas the W build is like I can start on their front line and just create a lot of space. So it just depends on what draft we have and what draft they have, I think. Generally, actually, I think Q build is better when they have like a percentage damage like Tychus and stuff. Like then I think the W build is kind of a bait. Like you don't reduce the percentage damage and you don't want to stand still into it as well. No, I think the Q build is underrated.
And one other question, with you now beating both Wildheart and Storm, is there any team between Wildheart, Storm, and Simplicity that you would either like to or not like to face in the rematch in the finals?
Either Simplicity or Storm are scarier. Like they are, even though we did very well into Storm yesterday, I'm not sure if they had a bad day or we just playing insane right now. But like they can be very strong, and Simplicity as well, I think, even though they looked a bit shaky yesterday. But a lot to Wildheart's credit though, like if Wildheart can play on their terms, I think they're a super strong team. But actually you guys talked about it, that if Wildheart is not their like coordinated unit, like if they're not as five, it gets very chaotic for them. Like they don't have the individual players capable of making like the correct decisions all the time. Whereas I think we actually do that. Like everyone is like insane on my team. Whereas I don't know how it is on Wildheart. Like maybe they have a few players that are like know exactly what they should do, but those players probably have to like carry the others with comms and stuff. So if people are not grouped together, it's much harder doing that. I think that's the issue we saw for them in this series.
Yeah, they're definitely a bit newer and not as experienced in some of the amount of pro games that you and your teammates have played. Bad Benny, would you say that winning is your #1 goal, or do you also have space in your mind to not just win, but to win beating every other one of the top 4 teams? Would it be extra meaningful for you to meet Simplicity in the finals and win that rather than any other team? Or do you just think you want to focus on your game, don't care who comes up?
I don't really care who comes up. I think Storm is still the scariest because they are, even though they're a bit predictable, like when they get their cheese drafts, it feels so hard sometimes versus it. Simplicity is a bit like
Cheese?
that,
What cheese?
but not as much. I mean, just Zarya
What
stuff,
cheese?
like a lot of double support. Like, I mean, it's not, to me it's cheese at least, maybe you don't agree. It's rough playing into
Special
it.
take.
Yeah. I mean, I have a question for you though, Grubby. Are you gonna sing now? Like, I heard something about 13k donation. Did I misunderstand something, or?
I'm trying to get you guys paid as much as possible, so I've put my pride on the line, singing for everyone's enjoyment in order to try and get more donations for the league. So yes, that is my sacrifice to CCL and to you if we get 15,000 in donations. So I'm doing my best here, man.
Okay.
Are you a bit of a musician yourself?
I actually played the piano for like 8 years. Went to music school when I was younger. So yes. But I don't play much anymore though, unfortunately. But I like music still, obviously.
If we make the goal for next week, do you want to get together this week and do a little bit of background music?
I think I have a lot of other stuff going on right now, so I would have to...
Too busy, I get it.
It would take way too much time and effort for me to actually be able to do that. So, some other time.
Focus on your games.
Yeah. Bad Benny may or may not have a grand finals to focus on for next weekend, but either way, Bad Benny, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations once again for punching your ticket into that grand final slot next weekend, and you also get that 1-game advantage. Before I let you run out of here and celebrate with the rest of your friends and family, and also get some practice in for next weekend, are there any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, just as usual, shout out to my teammates. Like, they played very well. Dino did a bit int gust on the dragon, but it happens. Overall, I think everyone is doing very well, and it's a very fun atmosphere playing with these guys. Like, it's never really bad. I'll argue sometimes, but it's never like any bad blood. And it is one of the few teams I played on where it is like that, so I enjoy it a lot. So just shout out to them, and shout out to everyone that supports us and 30k.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations once again. Get some good rest, and we will see you next weekend up against. Well, we'll have to figure that out in a couple more matches. But congratulations once again, Bad Benny.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks
for joining us. Alrighty, well, unfortunately, Grubby, you stole the idea from me, because I was like, ooh, maybe we get Bad Benny to, do some piano lines as well for your song, but unfortunately, he's a little busy getting ready for that grand finals, but that is a big deal, because I had mentioned this yesterday and earlier today as well. The team that makes it through the upper bracket, 30k, they have a 1-game advantage in the best-of-7 series. It's a best-of-7 grand finals, and it's also weighted, so 30k only need to win 3 maps next weekend to crown themselves the victor of HeroesCCL. But we have a lot more games. We got a couple more matches to decide who is going to go up against 30K, because you just saw at the bottom of your screen that ticker did just swap over, and we're going to be seeing Storm Esports going up against Simplicity after a little bit of a break. This matchup, you do not want to miss this matchup. You better get yourself some water, some popcorn, some pizza, whatever sort of beverage you want, and get settled in, because this next series will move someone onward into the lower bracket matchup up against Wildheart next weekend, and the loser of this will be going home in 4th place, and that'll be the end of their HeroesCCL Season 3 run. We're going to get into that interview with Kyle Ferguson and Dino in just a second. In this break, I want you to do 2 special commands in chat. The first one being ! prize pool. As Grubby had just talked to Bad Benny about, he is going to, we do have a little bit of a goal, and I have seen that goal creeping up a little bit further and further. If we hit 14K, Grubby is going to grace us with a little bit more from this song. We actually get a little Grubby singing here on stream, so we could hit that today. $500 ! Prize pool will get you over to the match arena, and at 15K, he'll perform the whole song here on HeroesCCL. The other command I want you to use in this break is !awards. The nominations have already been done. All we need you to do is go into this Google survey and just check the boxes that you want to vote for, whether it be the best flex player, the 6th player, the best play of the season, or even your favorite organization. !awards in chat to get you over there. But right now, we're going to get into a fantastic interview with Kyle Ferguson and Dino from 30K. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom.